to make sure we got some of those results in. Let's bring the
We're live.
My colleague Austin Westfall, and someone who
we're here.
All the analyst Brian Sobel, for his
we are here. I couldn't get a laptop. I got one coming tomorrow though.
Also, before we get to you, Brian, we're just getting these results in from.
They wouldn't let me have it today. Some policy. I don't fucking know.
Not as consequential as some of the battleground states. Polls will close there in Georgia and North Carolina at the top of the next hour. What are you looking at right now, Brian?
Well, I think we're looking, first of all, at Georgia as kind of the leader to see the results there coming out of Georgia. Obviously, Philadelphia with 19 electoral college votes is huge. We are going to see as the times across the country close the polls where we are on this. But we may get a leaning, Andrew, sooner than later. But in these either highly red states or highly blue states, I don't take too much from that. As an example, in California later when the polls close, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 54 electoral college votes will go into the Harris ledger because it's an entirely blue state.
Let's talk about the demographic makeup of voters, Brian. What type of people are the people that are going to be swinging this election, possibly?
Well, we're looking at that, or we're looking at that. We want to see how frequently people vote, whether they vote reliably in presidential elections, and
I voted for Trump.
Lean Dem, lean Republican. Of course,
did that earlier today.
About trying to snag some independents, because clearly Harris has her followers and Trump has his followers.
Now we see if the rest of these motherfuckers got some sense.
You're really playing on the margins here.
I don't know.
And it's a matter of people who just couldn't get behind Kamala Harris, who are Dems, and decided to vote for Trump. Or
a lot of retards in the country.
Just could not vote for Donald Trump, and
it could happen.
Slid over into the Harris camp, but in the middle, 4%, 5% of those independents may very well decide this tonight.
Brian, I wanted to ask you, and this is somewhat of a long-winded question, or maybe the answer will be long-winded. Let's talk about the campaigns themselves. In the last week, or maybe the last weekend, in your view, what did the Trump campaign do right, and what did the Harris campaign do right, and vice versa? What do you think they did wrong?
Well, I think both campaigns really grounded out to the end. They were in a lot of places. They kept hitting these high swing state states to try to secure votes there. I think Donald Trump actually remained somewhat disciplined down the stretch, and Kamala Harris stuck to her message points. I think those are the positives. The negatives are that if you're not a Trump fan or you're not a Harris fan, nothing they said in the last few days will change.
I don't know how the results are going to come in. They're already saying it's going to take days. I mean, who knows what they're up to? Who knows what's going to happen?
With the same themes that he has talked about, the economy, immigration, these other things, right through.
I can't believe we won't know a lot tonight. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. We always know at the end of the night.
I didn't really see that.
It is very close, Austin.
Yeah, so Brian, we saw, and I was asking Keith about this earlier, we saw Trump making appearances in New Mexico and in Virginia. We saw Vance in New Hampshire over the weekend. We haven't seen Kamala Harris making any appearances in any of these states that we don't consider battleground states. What do you think they're seeing? What do you think they're relying on?
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut everyone off here or interrupt. We're going to be doing this a lot. We do have some of these live events right now. We have some of these election officials, especially in Georgia. The Secretary of State there, Brad Raffensperger, speaking live. Let's just take it.
Was there. They brought in dogs, and they're doing a sweep there, so we're not concerned about anything like that. The area was fully secure.
How long did the wait?
Typically, what you see.
And nerds calling in bomb threats and shit. These news need life.
So, we'll just be following.
They need to get a fucking life.
Well, that's what we're just saying. If you had, they were doing their work, say 20 minutes to 40 minutes, something like that. I think there's one that might be 50 minutes, but in that range, so less than an hour. but we'll get those to you as soon as we can. Yeah, and typically, I know that in Atlanta, they also just got a whole bunch of bomb threats come through, and Atlanta Police Department, they're keeping everything open. All the precincts are staying open, and they're just sending dogs around to sweep it to make sure that they're safe. But we know where it's coming from. FBI knows where it's coming from, but we want to make sure, interest of public safety, that everyone, make sure that it doesn't slow down anyone from voting. And like I said, if you're in line at 7,
You see, she vowed to end the war in Gaza. Well, she went out desperate, boy. She lie her ass off. There ain't none of that shit gonna happen if she wins. That's the beauty of it. Like, if she wins, like, no, she does nothing. She's just a failure.
Coming from the same source.
Are there any indications of the threats going into places where the ballots are being counted?
They went so hard that it's a lose-lose for them, because they either have to win and then deliver all this, which they're not going to do, or Trump wins and then all that dumb shit they were saying, they were going so over the top, none of it's going to happen. It's going to look dumb.
15 precincts plus the 2 in Com. It's a total of 15 precincts, so it just extends it out for there. But all those early votes have already been.
I want to watch CNN for real. I want to see them cry.
That should not be tabulated. And
I heard they was already on there crying. I ain't seen it though.
The other votes for the affidavit have been accepted, so that should come quickly.
Yeah, they've been crying for weeks. There ain't even one. They've been crying.
I'm frustrated as an American that people would threaten other Americans, and so or threaten, just question the safety, and so that's what frustrates.
I did see her on the phone, and it was the camera app.
Our heart was out for our voters, and that's what our concern is. And our hope.
You said early results will be in by 8 p.m., but that's a huge chunk of the total votes. So
Correct.
We're going to see early.
They're already saying Trump's going to be up, and then in the middle of the night, it's going to flip.
Some of the precincts maybe extend a little bit now because.
I mean, come on.
This situation going on, but that's in 4 counties, 5 counties. So really, then over 150 counties. Yes, by 8 p.m. by state law, they are required when they close on time to have 1 hour after they close. So yes, you'll get a lot of results really quick. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We'll be here. I know you will be too.
All right, so Brent Raffensperger wrapping up there. You see his deputy Gabe Sterling there in Atlanta with all of these.
Oh my God, ban Techie. Why every election people act like Kentucky's going to go blue?
The next hour here. Andrew Kraft,
if it doesn't, I'm banning him myself personally. I want him banned for life.
What election officials have had to.
He does this every election. Give it a rest. What are you talking about?
By-election officials in DeKalb County, outside Atlanta, Georgia. According to county officials, she said polls were supposed to close at 7 o'clock Eastern in about 9 minutes there. In the meantime, we still have Brian Sobel and Austin Westfall with me here in the newsroom. And Brian, election officials, they're trying to preserve the sanctity of the ballot today. They've had to contend with a lot, haven't they?
Yes, and these threats, if sources are correct, they're coming not from a domestic source, but coming from
a fucking idiot,
Russia or other countries that are trying to upset the American election. But you saw there that Georgian officials are on top of it, and
I'm fucking starving. What to eat though?
It's not stopping anything.
Ryan, I gotta ask.
Went to Baskin Robbins earlier.
Why did you have to field some questions there about election?
I figure we're at the end of Joe Biden. Celebrate with ice cream. Either way, Joe Biden's out of here.
Well, I think because
decrepit Biden. We'll long for Joe Biden once Kamala wins, though. We'll long for him. We'll say, "Oh man, Biden was so good." That's how bad she'll be. You'll be looking for Biden. Biden, save me, please. Put a decrepit Biden back in there, please.
Any of the rhetoric coming from one or more of the campaigns about whether the elections have integrity. We've come a long way in 4 years from 2020. The election system has been bolstered considerably. And so this is kind of, a 2020 playbook page, and people ought to be really, in my view, concentrating on other things tonight.
Right, yeah. And of course, got to remind you, we're not in a pandemic like we were in 2020. That's a major difference and mitigating factor as well. Brian Sobel, thanks so much. Also, we'll check in at the top of the hour. In the meantime, let's take our final commercial break of this hour. We got a lot more in store. Many states' polls are closing in just about 7 minutes' time, and some of those battleground states we're watching, including Georgia and North Carolina. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. If you have or are eligible for Medicaid, please listen closely. You may be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan from WellCare with a $0 or low monthly plan premium. Call now. We can answer your questions and help you enroll over the phone. WellCare provides access to essential benefits that go beyond original Medicare.
I'm starving.
Such as dental, vision, hearing, and $0 or
I don't want none of this shit, though. What is this shit?
Free over-the-counter healthcare items, free fitness benefits, WellCare's telehealth services, including online doctor visits, Twill, a digital mental health and social support resource.
Pizza actually sounds good.
Including the WellCare Spendables debit card, which you can use for over-the-counter health items. WellCare is contracted with Medicare to provide plans that may be...
Pardon my cheesesteak.
844-690-3035. Now, that's 844-690-3035.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We're almost at the top of a new hour here. I want to take this live picture there at the White House. You see, just wanted to give you this reporting. President Biden and the First Lady will watch election results tonight in the residence with longtime aides and senior staff, according to a White House official. Also, the First Lady voted in person this morning there in Wilmington, Delaware. In the meantime here, let's stay in Washington right now. Let's go to the campus of Howard University. That is where Vice President Kamala Harris is holding her election night watch party. Our friend Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen is there live. Connor, good to see you. What's the energy like there right now?
Andrew, is building and building here as the crowd starts to fill up. A lot of the crowd's students, as you can imagine, here at Howard University. We're just minutes away from those first states closing, where we'll get a better look at where this election is heading. Before today, a record 80 million people had already voted. That's more than half the total number of ballots cast in 2020. Now, both campaigns relying on who showed up to vote today.
We, the people, have the power to shape our future.
Coming off a whirlwind day of energizing voters in battleground Pennsylvania, Vice President Kamala Harris is not holding any campaign events today, instead opting to do radio interviews, hoping to win over any more undecided voters.
We are tied. Every vote matters, and so I am working hard all day long, continuously, to get out the vote. There are two choices in this race, and it's about the direction of our country, whether we want to go backward or forward.
Harris wants to be the first vice president in 30
Take us back.
to be promoted to the Oval
Oh,
Office.
God, take us back. This bitch is nuts.
Work on your behalf,
Take us back.
President of the United States, to lift you up around dealing with, for example, the cost of living, bringing down the cost of groceries, the cost of housing.
As part of that effort, her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, making a final pitch to voters in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
This will be won by 1 or 2 votes per precinct in places like Pennsylvania. This is a time when there's a privilege to live in this country and a responsibility. Get out and vote.
And as you mentioned, Vice President Harris will be here to watch those results come in at her alma mater, Howard University. And she says this will be a full circle moment. This is actually where she first ran for office as freshman class representative. Andrew.
All right, Connor Hansen there live for us on the campus of Howard University. Connor, thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, in the meantime here, always appreciate Connor Hansen's reports there throughout the course of this election cycle. Remember, though, we are monitoring all things on social media right now. The candidates themselves are out there posting. Let's check in with Live Now's Christina Evans with more on that front here. Christina, what do you got for us?
Yes, Andrew, of course, like I said earlier today, we're here in our social center, making sure that we're keeping you up to date as all of these tweets and posts that are happening on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are happening. And here in our social center, one of the things we now want to highlight right now are the posts from the candidates themselves. If you take a look at your screen here, you can see this TikTok was posted from real Donald Trump's page there on the platform, asking voters to stay in line. That same sentiment repeated by Vice President Kamala Harris on X as well, and her running mate as well, Tim Walz, saying just 1 or 2 votes in each precinct could make the difference. If you are in line, make sure that you're staying in line. So that's been the message that's happening across the social platforms right now from the candidates as those hours are now winding down, when folks are able to make sure that their voices are heard across the country at those polling locations. Again, we're keeping a close eye on the social stories that are popping up. But again, we're keeping an eye right now, those candidates asking folks just to stay in line and vote if you are in line before your polling location closes, Andrew.
All right, Christina, thanks for that check-in. We'll talk soon. In the meantime here, it is a new hour. It is 5 o'clock here in Mountain Time, 7 o'clock there on the East Coast. Polls have now closed in some of these major battleground states like Georgia, like North Carolina. Speaking of Georgia there, we're waiting some type of press conference on some of the threats made to polling locations there. This is in Fulton County, so we'll wait to see if anyone steps up to the podium there as well. We also have a live picture of voters in line. I believe that's in Maricopa County. Polls obviously have not closed yet there in Arizona. In the meantime, though, we are tracking these results coming in as well. We're still waiting on some race calls here, but it is a new hour, and we want to bring into the conversation Austin Westfall yet again with some of those results, and he joins me. Austin, I wanted to ask, it's been Indiana and Kentucky we've been talking about here, but now these major battleground states, polls now closed there. We'll get results in very soon, right?
We will. We're watching them tabulate results right now in Georgia. We are going to be waiting for any type of result from that key battleground state. That is one of the 7 battlegrounds that we've been tracking so closely. So let's look at our map. We're starting to see it fill in with some colors now. 19 electoral votes on the Trump side so far, 3 coming in for the vice president. Where are those votes coming from? Vermont. That's where Harris is getting her 1 vote so far. As soon as the polls closed, they were feeling comfortable enough to call that one in Harris's favor. Let's take a look at why. And you know what? We're not even getting any official results.
The retards in Vermont.
Going to Kamala Harris. Indiana and Kentucky, we already knew, called in Trump's favor. Florida, we're finally getting some results in from the Sunshine State. Now, that is not dark red. It's not been called yet. The Associated Press has not called for Florida. That is 30 electoral votes that are expected to go red. There is an interesting Senate race that we're watching for there. And you know what? While we're talking about the Senate, Andrew, let's pull up our Senate map. We've so far seen 1 Senate race being called in Indiana. So, Indiana, and we will back up here a little bit because Jim Banks, the Associated Press officially calling the Indiana Senate race in Banks's favor. He has 62% over McRae's 35%. That's only with 12% of the votes tabulated. The AP feeling comfortable enough to call that one in Banks's favor. We didn't expect that one to be a toss-up. Let's focus on one where we did expect somewhat of a competitive race. This is Rick Scott's race. Rick Scott facing off against Debbie McCarsell-Powell. This was 19% of the votes already coming in, and that's because Florida is one of those states that can tabulate votes before the polls closed. So as soon as the polls closed, a big batch of ballots came through. In fact, 19% of everything counted has already come in, giving us about a fifth of the information we know before all of the votes are tallied. And so far, Rick Scott has just over 50% of the vote. Right now, it looks like Scott is up by roughly 4 points. The Democrats, they're going to need to win some of these competitive seats in states like Florida, Texas. There's even an independent running in Nebraska. The Democrats are on the defense when it comes to the Senate, Andrew. Florida is one of those key races that they're hoping to win.
That's right. We do have some of the head-to-head here with the results from the Associated Press there. Republican Rick Scott over his Democratic challenger, Debbie McCarcel-Powell. 51-47, still very early for this race there. But also, like you said, we do have some of these race calls for the presidential contest. Let's get those out of the way here. Indiana, the Hoosier state, has now been called for former President Donald Trump there, with around 14% of estimated votes counted, 11 electoral votes, like you said, Austin, going to Donald Trump from Indiana as well. Also,
as we can start to get into some of the vote breaks here in Georgia, and here's what's really interesting. We've talked about people who identify as independents. This is a category, right, of voter that Vice President Harris really extended an olive
watch
branch to.
NBC. They know they'll be crying.
Based on our exit poll data, it is Donald Trump winning independents, nearly a double-digit margin over Vice President Harris in the state of Georgia. Here's your grain of salt caveat. These are early numbers. They may The other piece of this, too, I'll pull up this board in a second here. Kamala Harris winning with women, Donald Trump winning with men. And I'll tell you, as I walk back over to the table here, that is something else we'll be watching here throughout the night. She's got to do really well with women. He wants to do really well with men. And in my conversations with campaign sources just in the last couple of hours, they're looking at that as well.
We've called this election perhaps the battle of the sexes election, so we'll see how that plays out. I think we've got a winner to announce for key projection in the state of Indiana. And no surprise here, Donald Trump will win that state again. Here's the data that's just coming in. See if we can get some numbers. And you now know, because we've taken you inside the decision desk, how is it that we can project this with just 15% of the vote counted? It is because we're confident that the margin is sufficient to make that call. So let's go to the 270 map. We're going to see this a lot, and we start to fill in some of the gray. Indiana red for Donald Trump. Let me go right over to Tom Yamas, who's actually looking at Florida. Does Florida have poll closed, or is it about to poll close?
Yeah, it closed. We have some voting data.
Okay.
And we have an Osceola County. I wanted to show this why this is important. So here in Florida, we have the I-4 corridor, right? And this is kind of the central part of the state. It cuts right through here. When you think about Florida, you can think about it in three parts. The Panhandle, it's very red. That's Trump country in a lot of those counties. South Florida, usually reliably Democratic, but Republicans have made some inroads. And it's this I-4 corridor that is really the swing region. It's also the area where you find a large number of Puerto Rican voters as well. So when we come into Osceola, I want to highlight this because we have 71% of the vote in. This is usually a reliably blue county for Democrats. Again, not all of the vote is in. It is still early, but you can see Harris is underperforming in what is historically a blue county for Democrats. 56 for Joe Biden in 2020, 51 for Harris right now with 71% of the vote in. Again, it's still very early. So how is Trump doing? Well, in a county that he usually does very well in, Volusia County on the East Coast here, 56% in 2020 with 70% of the vote in. He's now at 59%. So he's overperforming. Again, still a lot of vote out. Still a lot to do here and kind of see where the vote is going. But those are good signs for the president. Listen, Florida has been trending red. Trump won it in 2016. He won it in 2020. Actually, in 2016, when that political earthquake happened, it really happened once we started calling Florida. 30 electoral votes. The map gets very, very hard for Trump if he doesn't win Florida. Without Florida, his sort of strategy in the blue wall and everywhere else kind of collapses. He needed this in the win column. Still very early right now, statewide, only 18%.
I voted for Trump.
We can find out where that remaining vote is tonight. So you can see in the major cities, Tampa, we're still going to find out how that hurricane, both Milton and Helene, affected voters there. Pinellas County, just to the west of that, a big swing county. Orlando, that's a hub for Democrats. Duval County, we actually have some vote in Duval County. I want to take a look at this. This is Governor Ron DeSantis' old district when he was a representative. This has been a swing county. Biden won it, but Trump won it in 2016. Harris is doing pretty well. In 2020, Biden was at 51. She's now at 50%. 66% of the vote is still out. This is a county that Republicans had hoped to flip. We're going to have to wait and see. But again, that vote's trickling in, but we can start to kind of read those tea leaves, Savannah and Lester, and kind of see where the vote's going. Again, still very early, but this has to be a win for Trump. If not, it's going to be a very long night for Republicans.
At a rapid pace there as well in the county. We're seeing that in some places tonight.
We anticipate, of course, as Tom's just saying, that Florida is a good state for Donald Trump. It is also the first test of Trump's strength. So that is why all of those areas that Tom is just laying out, these are, again, very early data so far, but significant nonetheless, because it will help us once we get in more understand how strong he's.
Fun fact alert for those who remember the hanging chads of 2000. Florida, in the wake of that debacle, has some of the fastest vote counting in the country. So I tell you, you will not be waiting for Florida for very long tonight. They really get that vote counted very, very quickly. They have the modern machines. They're allowed to pre-process the ballots. So we won't have to wait too long for that.
At this point, are we seeing anything unexpected, though?
So far, I do think the independent numbers are going to be really interesting to watch throughout the course of the night, especially what we saw in those early national exit polls, that a lot of people were identifying not as Republican, not as Democrat, but as independent. So that's a storyline to watch. I'll tell you another trend as we're talking about Florida. Osceola County has a large Puerto Rican population, the biggest of any county, I believe, in Florida. And this is something that I've heard in my conversations with Democratic campaign officials and those close to the campaign, that they feel like that is a part of the Latino population that they can really try to move the needle with here after those controversial comments from that opener for former President Trump.
Well, actually, let's go over to Tom on that. I should say the polls close at 8 o'clock in Florida, but you do get some information for 7 o'clock poll close timings. I think that's part of the confusion here. But we're talking about this Osceola County. It's a third Puerto Rican.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting because you have the Latinos down in Miami-Dade. I know. Go ahead and give your shout out, Miami-Dade. It's great.
Just the greatest county, great people. I mean, I can keep going.
Obviously, this is
They ain't gonna wrap it up tonight. I mean, if they're winning, it'll be over tonight. But if they're losing, they gonna go for days, weeks, 79 days of hell.
Towards the Republican side, but I do want to remind you too, during the Obama years, Obama was able to pull back some of that Cuban American vote.
Like if she's up dominating by midnight, this shit's done. I mean, they're just gonna call it for it's over, it's done. But if he's up, oh Lord, they'll drag this shit out.
Democratic stronghold here. Again,
they're not calling it for him. I mean, they just ain't doing it. It ain't happening.
At 61. Harris is at 58. You could say she's sort of underperforming, but I also want to say it's only 60%. A bigger number that's coming in that I think is more important, guys, I want to talk about right now is Broward County. This is just north of Miami-Dade. Think about Fort Lauderdale, think about Sunrise, all those areas and those big cities that have been growing over the years, especially post-pandemic. This needs to be a place where Democrats really drive up the vote, right? Hillary Clinton won big here, 66%. Biden did the same at 64. Tonight, Harris is at 60. Again, I always point to this number. All the votes not in, but if you were to call it right now, she is.
Wow, Trump is up.
We'll wait for that other vote to come in. Guys, over to you.
Tom,
in that county,
we are just minutes away from polls closing in Ohio.
4%.
North Carolina. We're standing by to make some new calls in the race for the White House. Stay with us.
See what they're saying on Twitter. fuck is going on? Fuck is this?
Wherever you are on any other network, send people.
Watch PBD. NPC want to go on a fucking commercial for. Fuck your ads. I don't deserve to make any money.
Here's why. Tom, can you show us what we have access to right now so all the viewers can see what is going on by the different districts? And if we can put that up there, Rob, and Andy, if we can have you work your way up so maybe some of the folks can see exactly what's going on. Tom, if we can get that on the top right screen. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, do we have it? Yes, I do. I think we're... I don't think we're... Can you guys hear us? It's got to come down first. Okay, we'll wait for that. Yep. By the way, who's feeling optimistic tonight? Let's see. Tom, show us what you got so far.
All right. What we're going to be bringing you tonight is what you would be getting at home and more and better. We've got all the state returns. We've got things that are flowing right in here to tell where everything is right now, right up to the moment. So we're going to be able to go back and forth on the congressional races, how that's going. But more important, we're all looking for the U.S. president race and to see where it is. And the early forecast that's out here like this, we'll be looking back and forth to that. But more importantly, we'll be looking to live results. Like what you can see here, Indiana, where that stands. And we'll go back and take a look at all the states as they come up. And as they come up, we will be signaling, and then we will...
Has anything come in yet? Has anything been reported yet?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. What we have so far is basically Indiana and Kentucky are within millimeters of being called.
3,414 retards voted for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in Indiana.
Carrying a 22-point lead.
Got 0.8% of the fucking vote. Fucking retarded motherfuckers who were told the guy literally told you not to vote for him.
But it's only 15% that's been reported. Another 2.571 remaining, right?
That's correct. That's because all of our analytics are looking at the rest of those great counties or rural counties.
166,000 people voted for Kamala Harris.
Doesn't look
I mean, you're retarded. There's a lot of retards walking around. I'm telling you right now.
Also calling Kentucky. Kentucky,
she only got 55,000 votes, Stacky. Look at that. 14. Jill Stein, 584.
And South Carolina, believe it or not, has been called. The numbers aren't updated right here, but South Carolina has been called.
South Carolina's already been called.
Right, because these are the first ones to close. The first one's done.
Got it.
And then VT News AI will be up here with the map being updated up to the moment. Do we have that?
Okay, fantastic. Tom, if you can grab a seat. By the way, anybody ever seen this documentary called Hangover? Anybody's ever seen this documentary called Hangover? We have one of the leading stars in this documentary, Hangover, here with us. If he's in the building and he's got the mic on.
God, where's that food at?
Very handsome, somehow connected to the CIA. Some people say nobody believes it. Give it up to the one and only Brian Callen. Where you at, Brian?
Jill Stein got some votes. Some retards went out and actually voted for her. We got Virginia results starting to come in.
Let me give you guys a few things that we have seen so far that I don't know how much of it you're watching closely. This is what we know so far. Let me read this to you. Okay. So, how many of you are familiar with the bomb threats that came in Georgia? Has anybody been following that story? So apparently there's bomb threats in Georgia, and then what do we find out? That it was an employee, apparently, that was a part of it. A pollster. Right? Number two, Obama and Chuck Todd comes out. Chuck Todd on is it MSNBC or CNN?
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are doing everything they can to scare black voters away from the polls. Don't let them steal your vote. that so many sacrifice so much to win and safeguard with their lame threats and intimidation, says this guy, Ron Flipikowski. You hear that, T. West? Pedro, don't let them steal your vote.
George Soros gave $1.7 million. And here's what this guy named Larry Krasnarov, if you have that clip ready, let's show it to the audience. Here's what he had to say earlier. Go for it, Rob.
I want people to be reassured that when they get up tomorrow to go vote, if they have not voted
Oh, yeah,
already,
this guy.
that everybody in this city is
This fucking
working and has
dude.
been working for months to make sure that
This
there will
dude.
be nothing tough about that experience and nothing to fear in that experience. But I also want to be clear. Anybody who thinks it's time to play militia, F around and find out. Anybody who thinks it's time to insult, to deride, to mistreat, to threaten people, F around and find out. We do have the cuffs, we do have the jail cells, we do have the Philly juries, and we have the state prisons. So if you're going to try to turn an election
Look at this fucking clown.
into some form of coercion, if you're going to try to bully people, bully votes or voters,
Brian, how do you process that? How do you process the district attorney, one of the DAs from Pennsylvania, threatening everybody if you're not happy with the results, if you're not happy about what's going on?
This fucking guy.
Can we get his mic on, please, guys? Can we turn on his mic? Vinny, your thoughts on this here? When you hear it?
I mean, is it a surprise, Pat? It's funny how only the swing states and only the battleground states, the computers are messing up. People are getting told to go home early. It's like it's the same playbook every single time. Then when you hear the guy from Nevada, Chuck Todd say, "Hey, it's gonna take 3 weeks. It's gonna take 4 weeks." What country had an election DVD? They had like 20 million people, and they voted in 1 day, done deal, finished. So I think it's ridiculous, and this is the game plan. This is the game plan.
By the way, Rob, can you pull up what Barack Obama tweeted earlier? I just want to kind of show you guys this tweet. And I'm wondering, how do you process a tweet like this? This is a former president, a two-term president. For Democrats, he's a hero for many. And he was one of the presidents that when he won, they called it very early. Rob, if you can pull up this tweet that came from him, right here. He said it took several days to count every ballot in 2020. And it's very likely we won't know the outcome tonight either. So please keep a few things in mind as you make your voice heard today. Thousands of election workers around the country are working hard. Respect them, thank them. Don't share things before checking your sources. Let the process run its course. It takes time to count every ballot. How do you feel about this, by the way? Rod, can you show what my response was to him with the tweet? If you can show, here's what I said. I said, Barack, how do third world countries with inferior technology to ours manage to count their votes in 1 day? Respectfully, this is why people don't trust you. I don't understand.
God, where's that pizza at?
Tom, your thoughts on that? Should it take that long for the greatest country in the world to count it?
I think it's obscene. It's an insult to the technology that America's built. It's an insult to the backbone of America, which has been honesty and integrity. And we've been getting it right. The only reason this is taking longer is people want it to take longer. Because we can do it in a day. Look, if they want to get our taxes done by April 15th, they managed to put a deadline out. They managed to be able to count. So it's pretty obscene that an ex-president would be saying this unless he's maybe pandering to his own machine.
Brian, how do you process it?
To me, I think essentially this is just showmanship. And in today's world, political world, you are rewarded for amplifying your monologue. So it doesn't matter. It's become. Whoa! I have a very
Order's been picked up. My God.
But you know, today
I'm
nowadays
fucking
you
hungry.
are rewarded for being a tyrannical centerpiece, not being somebody who's there to solve problems. It's just that there's no currency in that. There is currency in creating a good guy and a bad guy and making sure you're the loudest.
By the way, can you guys hear him? Can you hear him or no? Just so you know, that's intentional. That was on purpose. We don't want you to hear him. He pissed me off. I mean, 10 minutes later, I said mute him for the first 10 minutes. So that is not an AB issue. That's a Brian Callen. We love him as well. We're gonna figure this thing out. Adam, where you at with this?
Well, Mike, check. Can we hear each other okay? How are we feeling? All right. So, by the way, before I even say anything, can we just give a shout out to PBD for putting this whole thing together? Look at the Wisconsin's American flag. Look at you guys. Clap it up for being here. We're going to be here all night.
Patrick, sure. I wasn't saying that about you. Did you think I was saying that about you? I was saying that about Barack.
I'm giving you a hard time.
Oh, okay. Because I want to make sure that I like what you said, but what I was saying about Barack or all these guys that put...
Man, we got to get your mic checked.
I'm sorry?
We got to talk to Eddie. Remember Eddie? We got to get your mic checked. Come on.
No, I agree with what you're saying here. I think that's very true. And I think we're losing trust.
By the way, like if you think about it, why would somebody tweet that? Isn't the goal to get the results in today? Why would anybody in the right mind tweet that? Let alone anybody happens to be the president, the former president, to say something like that, where you would even consider him maybe the voice of the left.
I do think everybody's afraid of where their information is coming from. And I think it's the first time in a long time where none of us can agree on even the source of where we're getting our information. So if I say to you, I heard it on CNN, you stop me before I can even finish my sentence, right? Or if I say somebody who's liberal leaning, I heard it on Fox, they stop me before I get it out. So I think that might be kind of where we're at, and I don't really know how to navigate that space. What's true, what's not, where's it coming from? So,
Vinny, where you at with it?
You know?
Where you at with it?
Anything. Barack Obama has been one of the most divisive presidents, people in the history of the country. Period. Did you guys hear that? One of the most divisive. The only change that happened is people started hating each other more, and everybody became just anti-everybody. Everything was about race. And I think him coming out, what's the last thing? What did he say the other day too? Spreading lies. Do you guys remember the whole, there's good people on both sides? He was pushing that the other day as well. And I think it's time for this guy just to disappear.
By 9 points. Joe Biden won independent voters in Georgia when he won the state by 9 points. So we've seen a swing of 20 points towards Trump in terms of the margin, from 9-point advantage 4 years ago with independents for Biden to now an 11-point advantage with independents for Trump in Georgia, Jake.
Wow. They're talking this, and there was nothing woke about it. I dealt with a general.
Independents are going to vote Trump, said it yesterday. It'd be a fucking fool not to.
Happen tonight based on the stuff you're seeing.
Got it. What I think is going to happen tonight is
we're going to get a confirmed count of the retards in our country tonight. We're going to get a confirmed, accurate count of just how many retarded motherfuckers in this country when we get the Kamala total.
So, however, we saw what was going on in Bucks County. We saw what was going on in Philadelphia. Trump, I believe, has the early vote and the mail-in vote. Was very strong Republican registration. You don't know who voted in those, but you know who registered. And what we see here is, I believe Pennsylvania should be Trump's, but I don't trust Philadelphia and I don't trust Bucks County. Because if they call Philadelphia, the mainstream media knows they're calling the race. So I look at Pennsylvania and look at the Democrat machine in Philadelphia wants to hold back that state. But I think it holds back to be inevitable. That's how I see it.
As far as odds tonight, what do you think is going to happen tonight?
Well, we're going to call some people out real quick.
That pizza.
Let me go back in history just a
That
second.
fucking pizza.
Audio okay out there, guys? We doing okay? Make some noise if you're voting for Trump this time around.
God damn.
I know there's a huge Kamala base out there. Make some noise if there's a Kamala camp.
Okay.
Awesome job. I think in 2020, a lot of people don't understand that Joe Biden was actually the favorite. I think due to COVID and just sort of, whether you want to blame it on the media, blame it on Trump, a combination of both, the country was sort of over Trump. But it's almost like a breakup with an ex. Until you start dating someone else and you're like, the ex actually wasn't that bad. You might have told me the things that I was uncomfortable hearing, but he was right. You're starting to see a lot of things out there saying Trump was right. Have you seen this thing out there? Trump was right. So this time around, Vegas has Trump up.
I'm watching PBD podcast.
Vegas has Trump up.
So it's
We'll
basically
jump around in a few umbrella.
the exact
I was
same
watching
odds
Alex
Biden
earlier,
had with Trump last year.
but he wasn't on there. Owen Schroyer was on there.
Than Kamala this year.
Okay.
So
I guess he's gonna come later.
Who heard what he said? Did anybody hear what he said? Okay. Vegas, by the way, just so you know, the AV team is figuring out. It's great on YouTube. You guys, they're gonna figure it out in the room. Vegas odds last time in 2020 had Biden winning. Vegas odds this time has Trump winning 60-40, a bigger lead than what they had last time with Biden winning.
Right.
And that's Vegas. Vegas doesn't like to lose money.
To kind of just to put it in pollster terms, everybody knows the race is to 270, right? So if it's a football game, if you've ever bet on football or basketball, any sports out there, maybe I'm admitting I had a problem at one point in my life. There's something called the over-under. So Trump's over-under, if you want to place a bet, is 280, meaning they're expecting him to win by at least 10 points. Kamala's over-under is 256. So I say this all the time. I don't trust Q. I don't trust Quinnipiac, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, none of it, because they have no accountability. Who has accountability is Vegas, because if they lose, if they're wrong, you know what they got to do? Pay up. So FTM, follow the money. Vegas has their money on Trump.
How many of you have been following the podcast for a few years? Who's been following it for a couple of years? How many of you have seen the evolution of our friend here, Adam Sosnick? Who's proud of Adam? What's happened from the last 2 years? Can we all on three say, I'm proud of you, Adam? 1, 2, 3. I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thank
They're
you.
very proud of you on what's going on.
I just posted a video on Instagram showing, I said, shh, don't tell anybody, but I showed proof that I voted for Trump this time around. I think what it comes down to is if you told me in 2020 that I was going to vote for Trump, I would tell you that you were crazy. Oh, I'm not going to vote for that guy. If you told me in 2024 that I was going to vote for Kamala, I would tell you that I'm crazy. So I said a year ago when the election hit up that the lesser of the two crazies is going to win this election. And Trump was, for all intents and purposes, pretty disruptive. And then whatever's happened with the Democratic Party, it's unrecognizable. If you've ever voted for Clinton, or if there's older people here, JFK, the Democratic Party is completely unrecognizable. And you have to vote with your pockets, and you have to vote with your actual ballot to get rid of this
Brian, going
administration.
back to Brian, if you can maybe bring the mic a little bit closer to you. Brian, when you and I spoke earlier, you're a little bit skeptical. What are you concerned about?
I'm not skeptical. I am, because I'm very worried about how blatant the mainstream media has been in essentially.
Jake Tapper looks like he having a bad night.
Kamala Harris looked good and reporting nothing good about Donald Trump. So that I don't worry so much about fraud, but I worry that the fix is in that sense. But what I'm really rooting for is if Trump can win this, it'll be a huge FU to the mainstream media. And in fact, and by the way, and it's really important, but also the lateral cooperation between the mainstream media and big tech and Hollywood. And that is a very strong force. But I think the American people are stronger, and what it'll show is that you don't get away with trying to control a false narrative. And they almost did. But the fact that this woman has said absolutely nothing, couldn't answer one question, and the race is this close, makes you realize how strong those forces are on the other side. Yeah. And that's the biggest threat to our democracy. It isn't Donald Trump. That's what I think.
And Pat, and for all the people that have been supporting him since he announced, doesn't it feel good to finally say, we told you so from the beginning? From the beginning. And Adam, I feel what you're talking about he was crazy. If from the moment you announced that you're running, Obama's DOJ and everybody was spying on you, planting stories, Hillary Clinton, Russia collusion, fake impeachment, shooting him in the head, all that.
you would act crazy too. So we weren't crazy. He went crazy. It's taken 8 years for the other side to finally go, oh my God, you guys were right. And I keep telling them, we told you so from the beginning. That's how I roll.
That's what you say, your picture.
Damn right. And I'm sweating.
No, I agree. You take a look at the first, 40 days of her campaign. The mainstream media gave her 90
Nah, they aren't closed yet.
positive coverage when she wouldn't even go out and conduct an interview. She wouldn't sit with a reporter. There was nothing to it. She was basically hiding in the same basement that Joe Biden hid in when there was the pandemic and he ran in 2020. And the mainstream media gave her a pass. A month and a half, they didn't do anything. And so Donald Trump or anybody on the conservative side, you have to beat your opponent, you have to beat the mainstream media, and you have to beat your own government that is trying to put censorship on things like X and social media to fight you. If you're a Republican...
You see motherfuckers today was Googling, when did Biden drop out? Or like, did Biden drop out? They didn't even know. A bunch of people didn't even know Biden dropped out. They went to vote for him. He wasn't even on that motherfucker. They was like, what?
One is what? Trump wins. Yes. 2 wins. Kamala wins. What's 3? Nothing.
We don't have an
no
answer.
decision. Okay. So let's then process who wins. Trump's either going to win by a landslide, yes, or Trump's going to win a real close race. Then Kamala wins a close race,
Yeah.
or a landslide.
No land.
No one's thinking Kamala's winning by a landslide. Okay. What happens if there is no decision tonight? What happens if there's no decision tonight and they delay it? How will the American people react? And what happens if Trump wins? What happens if Kamala wins? Brian, I'll come to you first.
So I think if Kamala wins, I think we're going to have divided government, and I think what we'll have is we'll have a Senate that is primarily Republican. What that means is, in fact, for the next 4 years, not much will happen. There won't be a whole lot of legislation. That's a good thing. That's what the founding fathers wanted. They wanted government to move at a glacial pace. If Kamala wins, that's if Kamala wins. If Trump wins, he's now got the Senate. And the thing that I always keep telling people is that the people around Trump and the people that support Trump believe in what? They believe in individual liberty. And if you look at his record, for the most part, he's a lot more hands off than he is hands on. That's the whole point of removing regulation. You know, so you will hear people talk. Just pay attention to how the left talks. What they talk about is they want government to step in and socially engineer equality because it'll make the world a better place. And the only way you do that is by
Damn, she's up big in North
people
Carolina,
take risks
but only
down.
2%
That's
in.
not what made this country great. It's what'll cripple us. So that's what I think.
By the way, that was a great breakdown. Just so everybody knows, right now, our stream on YouTube, we have 144,000 live concurrent on right now. And anybody that tweeted, Watching TVD Podcast, it's officially trending on Twitter. So kudos to everybody that did that. If you're watching that, tweet that out, Watching TVD Podcast. Vinny, Trump wins, Kamala wins, no decision. How does America react?
If Trump wins, I think it's vindication. I think it's celebration. I think it's happiness. I think everybody's going to be in a good place. But that cues the left, all the agitators, all the Antifa. They're all going to get mobilized. Trust me when I say that. If Kamala wins tonight, guess what? We'll take it. We'll take the loss. But guess what? We're not going to do though. We're not going to burn down our cities. We're not going to do all that crazy shit. But if we find out, Pat, that all the polling stations and all these numbers and all this shit is all rigged, then there's going to be a problem. If there's a draw, oh, not a draw, I'm sorry, if it's delayed and they're playing that whole 3 months, 2 months, whatever, that's when it's going to start getting restless. Because guess what? We didn't do anything when they shot our president in the head. We didn't do anything. Everybody was chill. I think that would be the last straw. I think so. You have any different perspective of what they said? Go ahead.
So I think one of two things is going to happen. I think if Kamala wins, I don't see our country being united at all for at least 4 years.
I think Trump has a very unique opportunity. If he wins again, think about the you're familiar with the hero's journey? Trump is on his hero's journey vibe right now. And to come back again, this is going to be the second time in American history where a sitting president lost and came back and won. And I think that's going to happen. The last time that happened was Grover Cleveland in the 1890s. So I think Trump will be vindicated. I think there'll be an opportunity for him to bridge the gap. And then eventually, the biggest gap right now in our country, it's not blacks and whites, it's not Jews and Muslims, it's not diploma divide, it's the gender divide. This is the largest gender divide that we've had in the history of our country. Trump is up, I think, 18 points on men, and Kamala is up 16 points in women. Men and women need to get back together and start making some babies. If Trump wins, I might do it tonight, guys. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. With a woman, no men are getting pregnant. I don't care what you say.
By the way, can somebody find this guy a wife or something? So you know somebody.
Can we give a shout out real quick? Speaking of, I see our PhD friends right here.
All right. First up, timing of your vote. We know so many went out for early voting. Let's see how those votes are breaking down in Georgia. Those who cast their vote early, look at this. They did not prefer a candidate if they early voted. It is split 49 for Harris, 49 for Trump. All right, let's look at some of these other key data points. We know race was huge. The black vote was huge for Biden when he won by just a bit in Georgia there in 2020. So let's look at how they are turning out in this election. All right, this is the first time we can break this down among black voters and their support for Kamala Harris. While strong, she is below where Biden was in 2020, 4 years ago. This number for Biden was more like 91. So she's running about 8 points behind where Biden was with the black vote in Georgia in 2020. All right, I have another data point where I'm going to combine this with gender, okay? So now you look at the black male voter in Georgia. We know both candidates have spent a lot of time courting them there. Democrats have been trying to convince them that they could be better for the economy. Trump has been trying to woo those voters. Remember, inflation's more than 20% in that state. With black men, Harris is at 73%, Trump at 25%. Let me give you perspective and context on that. Joe Biden in 2020 had this number at about 87%. Okay? So right now, she's running about 13 points with black men behind where Joe Biden was in 2020. All right, another data point there, Brett, because I know you asked. Black women as well in Georgia. We have been watching this. Here it is. Strong showing, 89%. But let me give you the perspective on that. Joe Biden with black women in Georgia 4 years ago was at 95% of their support. She is also running behind with them by about 6 points. I'll leave you off with one other data point here. Again, this is the first time we are able to show you this. Education and race. Whites with no college degree in Georgia. Donald Trump, a strong showing there. He's at 77, getting 77% of their support. So
I want to make a prediction right now. Trump is set to have a historic victory. They're going to try to contest it. They're going to try to kill him again. They're going to create pretexts and excuses for the left to riot. It's going to be absolutely
coming out for
insane for the
Kamala.
next 76 days.
You should have been there for your girl, T-West.
But the fraud is not going to work. And when I
Down
saw
6% with black women.
image today that's posted Real Alex Jones, I said, this is a graphic image that accurately depicts my prediction for the 2024 election. This represents my 2024 election outcome prediction. They are going to try the exact same thing. You'll see the same graph, but it will not go past the red line. It'll be a lot closer than it's depicted here. That's the reality of what's going to happen, but it will not defeat Trump. It will not defeat America. If they are crazy enough to openly call it early like Fox did 4 years ago and steal it, it blows up even bigger in their face down the road. But you already see capitulations by a lot of the Silicon Valley people. not just Zuckerberg. They know the writings on the wall. Republican Congress folks that are very respected have said they've already seen it circulating, that they're getting ready to try to impeach him as soon as he's in. They plan riots once he's president-elect. We're not out of the woods yet, but the big battle to wake people up and to have them rebel against the system mentally and not be bullied, and not let the left and Hollywood program you and control you and dictate to you and bully you is over, and it's global. The tide turned a few years ago, but now the giant waves of awakening are smashing the globalist system into little pieces of driftwood. Now, they're going to strike back, but you can see it, you can feel it. You are living in incredible history. Trump says, yeah, we're going to ban fluoride in the water. Yeah, we're going to look at all the vaccines and ban the ones that hurt people. Well, they all do. None of them work. Not even vaccines. They're in Congress today trying to pass laws to have genetically modified lettuce and tomatoes that makes you take, quote, vaccines that aren't even vaccines. We'll cover that in a moment. But it's all coming out. It's all being exposed. Ladies and gentlemen, Election Day 2024 is here. Trump is going to win big, but they're trying to steal it. We have got all the top experts, people on the ground, everything, giving us the key intel. If you're watching on X particularly, be sure to go to Real Alex Jones and watch the live feed. Tens of millions are already on it, and share it with everyone you know. History is happening now. Go to
First up, time.
I want to make a prediction.
Got a little pump out there. What the fuck?
It probably started in 2020. I was sitting in my house and I was on my couch just chilling. I made a video. I was like, you know what? I love Donald Trump because I heard about the whole tax thing. And I was like, we need taxes lowered, all that. I wake up in the morning and that shit's all over the news. And next thing you know, I'm at a Trump rally. And I was like, God damn, bro, this is a dream come true.
By the way, what's your favorite?
And who did you vote for?
For Harris.
And tell me about how you came to this decision.
So I wasn't gonna vote at all until my girlfriend was blowing up my phone, telling me to go vote. And if I didn't, she was gonna break up with me. So now I'm here.
Was she seriously going to break up with you?
No, I made that up. She didn't say that, but it's funny to say that.
So she asked you to vote for Harris.
She did.
And so you voted for Biden in 2020, but what were you going to do this time?
I wasn't gonna vote at all.
You were just going to stay home.
I was gonna stay home, eat some chips or something. I don't know.
And so you came just before polls closed. But here's the thing: how long did it take? Most people have been saying it's taken them 5 or 10 minutes. Tell us how long it took you to vote.
So I got off of work at 4:30. Drove here about 30 minutes. I think I walked in like at 5:05ish, and I was waiting for about 2 hours. I just walked out.
Brian, 2 hours to fix your address, right?
2 hours.
Brian Flores, thank you so much. Aaron, back to you.
Well, that's devotion.
No, you could put him and his men.
Yeah, you and your mom should have voted Trump. Now you'll live under Democrat rule for the rest of your life. This was your final chance. That's what Elon said.
I said, I think Kamala should do it. Why isn't she doing it? You know, it's a strategy, right? I mean, Kamala got, what endorsement has Kamala gotten so far? J-Lo?
Taylor Swift, which I went at her, and Bernie Sanders are getting a big following, and they're over there like endorsing this, and that's gonna ruin our country, and that's what they don't understand, and it's horrible.
I mean, I love the perspective that you got the courage to get up there and say that. Make some noise, everybody, a little pump. Thank you. So, I got a question for you guys.
Thank you so much, boss man.
My man, appreciate you. I got a question for you guys. So, in the last 90 days, let's put July 13th, a lot of different things have happened. And by the way, I'm curious how you would answer this yourself as well. We were talking about this earlier with the elite folks that we had lunch with. There's been a lot of different events that have happened. You got the assassination attempt. You got Elon Musk coming out and saying, I endorse Trump, and they did that live that got 1 billion views. You got Joe Rogan. You got RFK coming out and saying, I want to be on this side. You got Tulsi Gabbard. All of these events that have happened. What would you say is the single most important event that's tipping the election? If you want to give 3, 4, 5 lists, what would it be, Brian? What would you say?
I would say, first of all, when the left talks about how Trump incites violence, last time I checked, they tried to kill him twice. Okay, so let's put the blame where it actually belongs. But forget that. Notice who actually supports Trump and who supports Kamala. It's people. The people that support Trump have built something. They've spent a lifetime building a brand, building a business, creating wealth, creating a product.
My girlfriend told me to go. Man, some chips sound good.
Come into contact with objective reality. Take a look at someone like Tim Walz, or the people that are supporting it. We call them the ruling elite. And they pay a price when they're wrong. No, they don't. They make their living with their mouth. They don't make their living with their hands. They're not having to get the food out there and not having to compete. And that is a very important distinction to me. So for me, I think what resonates to me is when I look at Elon Musk, when I look at Joe Rogan, all these guys who have built something on their own, taking risks and being honest about it. That's who you should always put your sort of energy behind. Because I think that's close to the truth and the other side. The other side has all they're good at doing is controlling a narrative none of us believe in. Is it weird when the news talks about how this is going on and this is going on, and the rest of us are living in the real world and we go, I don't see it. I don't see all the stuff they're talking about. So I just think at the end of the day, it becomes madness. All the events, everything happened, all the stuff we've heard. What are the top 5 most influential things that's going to be the tipping point of the 2024 election? Just off the top of my head, I think number 1, and this is no joke, I think everybody will say, Elon Musk spending $46 billion and losing money for Twitter so we can hear everything. Because none of us would be hearing shit. You wouldn't be hearing anything. They could get away with anything if it wasn't for impact. I think RFK coming to our side. I think Tulsi Gabbard coming to our side. I think the assassination attempts, plural, made people go, like the first one, they were like, oh my God. And then the second guy, people
God, I should have got chips instead of a pizza. God, that would have been amazing. Chips. What kind of chips, though? Fucking Ruffles.
Well, I think Trump is just doomed. So we were at the, by the way, if you get the chance to roll with PPD to the World Series in a jet, we ask you what you're up to, just say, yeah, I'm available. So that was awesome. But I'm going somewhere with this. So Aaron Judge, who is likely to be the AL MVP, he was doing horrible the first 4 games, right? Like what was his value? It was like .94. And we said, you know what? He's going to hit a home run tonight. And he did. Why? Because he was due. I think if you look at Trump, just overall, Trump, guys, I don't know if you know this, Trump hasn't won an election since 2016. Now you might say, well, what happened, this and that. They won in 2016. They lost the midterms in 2018. They lost.
Damn remote it. Oh, what the fuck just happened?
I think Trump is just due.
What the fuck is this?
I think that nobody's gonna.
God's name is going on. The fuck was that? Back on here.
Has brought up, and it's kind of out of left field. Did something so absurd and so ridiculous, and he became the face
of Bud Light. How many billions of dollars did Bud Light lose when they made him the sponsor? $9 billion. And whether you call it an agenda, whether you call it this message, whether you call it the woke mind virus, where Elon Musk basically stepped up because one of his kids.
I just want to take you back. I said, what is the most single important event? You're telling me about Dylan Mulvaney. He's speaking about Dylan Mulvaney.
I think that concept made every like-minded, sane person be like, what the hell's going on here? They're trying to pass this dude as a woman. I'd rather have an asshole named Donald Trump that gets GSD, gets stuff done, versus some fluffy little lady boy and make everybody feel good.
Okay.
So I think that resonated.
All right. I still didn't get my question answered. So, Rob, can you play a clip of yesterday's podcast? Elon Musk and Rogan. Who watched the entire podcast? Musk and Rogan. Play this one clip from last night's podcast. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I'll say again, this was the last election.
T. West got up this morning and drove down to vote for the Green Party. Ask him about it.
People, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman.
Rob, can you raise the audio, please?
I can't hear you.
Well, I'll say again, I think this was the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Kamala.
Yeah, exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Yep. Like, there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left wing. They realize, like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. And the Dems win this election. It will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That's so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried to push back?
Like, go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Brian, you've been friends with Joe for how many years? You and Joe have been friends for how long?
Joe exactly 30 years.
30 years.
30.
Okay.
And he called me yesterday. He was nervous. But what I reminded him is this. Look, at the end of the day, the Republic is strong, and I just don't think that this is the last election. And I got news for you. A lot of the people that are coming across the border come from staunchly Catholic backgrounds. And they almost all overwhelmingly, especially the second generation, if you look at the stats, they overwhelmingly vote Republican. So I'm just not that worried. And by the way, I think we will endure. And I think if Kamala wins, we give her 4 more years to screw things up even worse. And the rest of us go. And then we got J.D. Vance. And that guy's a force of nature. Maybe J.D. Vance Tulsi Gabbard, which I wouldn't mind seeing. You understand? So I'm optimistic. I think we're stronger than that. And again, I keep saying, remember, if Kamala wins, the Senate will be Republican. Try getting anything done. Just watch.
Question for you, Brian. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If you and I are having a drink together, we're out there having, doing our thing. I ask you, do you think Rogan will ever endorse Trump and have him on? What would you have said 2 years ago?
Well, I remember when he called me about having him on a long time ago. And I think what he was worried about was that, if he has him on, there are going to be people on the right that are going to give him a hard time for not asking him, certain questions. And then there are going to be other people on the left who are going to be like, you didn't ask him hard enough questions. So it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think what his strength is, and he offered this to Kamala, but she didn't have the confidence to do it, was, hey, come on, talk as long as you want, and let me see who you are as a human being. Let's see what happens after when the cameras and everything else, when you forget the cameras are going. 3 hours is hard to hide who you really are. I think that's his strength. So, but I was surprised. I think at the end of the day, it was always a big decision, and it was a big decision all the way up to the end, because it's dicey territory.
How many of you here, if I can get your attention, folks, how many of you here, by the way, are you hearing people speaking? Is that what the noise is a little bit? Guys, if you can keep it down a little bit, if folks are speaking. Well, question for you. How many of you, a year ago, didn't think Rogan was going to have Trump on? How many of you didn't think he was going to have him on? Okay. How many of you here a year ago said there's no way Rogan's going to endorse Donald Trump. Raise your hand. Look at this. Wow. That is insane. Raise your hand again if you said he wasn't. Okay, so let me ask you this. How many of you thought Joe would endorse him? Raise your hand if you think, yeah, he's going to endorse him. 5% of people said yes. 95% said no. So you got Rogan, who has the undecided independent voters. You got Musk, who leaves California and decides to say, I'm getting back behind Trump, and he's doing what he's doing. And then you got all these things happen simultaneously. Something strange is going on. Who knows if it's going to convert into the election or not, the being won or not, but we'll see. Little Pump, I know you want to say something before.
Little Pump.
So, before I leave, I got one thing to say. If you want freedom, vote for Donald Trump. But if you want censorship and all this bullshit and immigrants crossing our fucking border and committing crimes, and vote for Kamala Harris. But we're here to fucking save America. MAGA 2024. Pat, I love you and I appreciate you.
Thanks for being here, Bob. Give up a little Bob, everybody. Great shit. So, I'm going to go to this next clip. Oprah Winfrey comes out yesterday. And here's what she said. Oprah Winfrey comes out yesterday and says the following thing yesterday. Robert, you got the clip. Folks, you got to see this. Because after you watch this, I'm going to show you a different clip of what Oprah said. We'll go ahead and play this clip, Rob. Raise the audio.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again. And
by the way, this is the same person that said this to Trump nearly 40 years ago. Go ahead, Rob.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country rip.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also doesn't pay as well.
Yeah, but you know, I just probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't.
She ain't winning no. What are you talking about? I've been drinking.
Tired of seeing what's happening with this country. How we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
You said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go into lose. I've never run into losing. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning. Because I think people, I don't know how your audience is, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States withdraw. I can't promise you anything. But I can tell you one thing. This country has made one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. And the way it's been.
You know what's funny? Do you know the story is that at that time, it was supposed to be Trump running for office with Oprah Winfrey as his VP. That's kind of how the story was about. And how do you go from that, being a good friend, to saying if he gets elected, what's the level of Oprah Winfrey to be able to influence any votes today? Do you think she's able to flip, or does she get the same audience that listens to her?
I think Americans are
Saying she got New Jersey.
I think a celebrity endorsement can be a liability. Most Americans realize that something like that is so out of touch.
Trump got Mississippi.
With anybody. So when was the last time she flew commercially? Really? Like you're going to take your cues from somebody like that? So I think it's just incredibly condescending, and it's very interesting to me that the left has always tried to garner as much support from celebrities that are totally out of touch. I mean, I think it's actually, I think it really does work against them. It really does. I mean,
Okay, so let me ask you this. If Oprah doesn't work for you, how about J-Lo crying? Anybody saw J-Lo crying? Does J-Lo crying influence you? I mean, she's in pain, guys. She's emotional. Rob, if you have a clip of J-Lo crying, I might get emotional. I don't want you. Don't be fooled by the rocks that she's got, but play the clip, Rob. Go ahead.
she looks good for her age. I'll tell you that
promised myself I wouldn't get emotional. But you know what? You know what? We should be emotional. We should be upset. We should be scared.
Trump won Florida.
We should. Our pain matters. We matter. You matter. Your voice and your vote matters. And look, don't be afraid to make people around you uncomfortable. Invite people around you to be the change, to go out there and vote. Nobody likes having tough conversations and talking about
He's rising on Polymarket, 68.3%.
They love it when you do nothing. Okay? A non-vote is an agreement. It just makes it easier for them to do whatever they want, whatever serves them. And this election is about your life. It's about you and me and my kids and your kids. Don't make it easy. Make them pay attention to you. That's your power. That's your power. Your vote is your power.
Do you believe her?
No, not at all.
Do you believe what she's saying? Do you get the reaction that she's being genuine, or do you think she's just reading a teleprompter? Vinny, what do you think? What do you think people are reacting when J-Lo talks to her?
By the way, am I the only one that just sees somebody that had? Is it just me, or that once Diddy's list and everything came out, everybody that was talking with Diddy, and you know what that sounded like to me? I know Diddy has probably footage of me doing God knows what, and I was involved with a lot. Please vote for Kamala, because they'll probably protect me when shit hits the fan. That's what it is, bro. And yeah, you guys ready for a fact? You guys ready for this? Donald Trump was endorsed by RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Tucker, Dr. Phil, Buzz Aldrin, everybody. And guess what Kamala got? The Diddy list. Period. That's the Diddy list. Usher was like, Usher was on The View, and he was like, I don't get into the politics thing. He probably got a phone call, and he came out in a robe dress, and he was like, vote for Kamala, please. It's a joke. It's a joke. I don't trust any of them. Period.
Do you have an update for us?
Yes, we do. There's a whole set of updates and a couple of key progress.
Get up there. Right. Give it up for Tom.
All right. So we have several calls, and then we have some very important in progress. So let's start out with some calls that have been made in New England. We start here.
Yes. So we are taking a look, and we can see that for the states that were pulled by.
Can you guys hear Amy or no? You can. Amy, you can grab the mic and put a little closer.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. You gotta hold it up and bring it to. Yeah, there you go. Go for it. Talking to your shoulder.
Okay. All right. As long as everyone can hear me. So we have several states that have been called. We have
Reach to the Hispanic vote is working for Donald Trump, and yet in Georgia you're starting.
Man, who's this dude on him? Who's this dude on MSNBC crying? Got tears down his eyes. What the fuck is going on?
And then we move down and take a look at
A big victory in that county hairstyle. That outreach to the Hispanic vote is working for Donald Trump, and yet in Georgia you're starting to see some of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump just came out and posted on Truth Social.
Oh, Lord.
For Donald Trump, shout out Mississippi. Awesome. And then finally, guys, we have Oklahoma, which was called for Donald Trump. Now, many of these are really significant because these states were not called at the time the polls were closed in the previous election cycle. So we're seeing a lot of momentum for Donald Trump very early in the game. This is very exciting, everyone.
I have something to read. Right now, we've got Trump 105, Harris 35. As you can see, the BT News finished map. And now let's go take a look at a couple states that is very important how they're coming out together. We first go to Georgia. 36% has reported. Here we are. A long way to go in Georgia, but very promising. And the statistics
Gonna win Georgia.
says that he's approaching a 79%.
I don't think that was ever in any doubt, though. I don't know why everybody doubted. Just because Biden won it. That was shady shit that went on with that pipe bursting and all that shit.
We also go take a look at
if you can do me a favor, speak into the mic. When you go up, we can't hear you. Speak into the mic.
Okay. And then we go to North Carolina here. North Carolina tight as we expected. Waiting to find out how much of the hurricane-affected areas here have a full voter turnout. Mail-in ballots, there was a lot of concern there. So right now, about a 40,000 vote difference. But based on where these are, a 59.
That man was crying. Why are they crying?
However, a long way to go and a lot of votes to be counted. We're going to be.
They must know something we don't know because they on the news. Why is he crying?
Pennsylvania is yet to have reported anything of yet. So can we all just say together, just the abbreviation, don't say it on three. Give me a WTF. 1, 2, 3. I think that's what Americans should be saying. Why can one state be so far off, and yet you've got other states like Florida who have been able, through automation, to get almost everything counted to date. But that's where we are right now. We're going to come back for a lot of work in progress. But this is as expected. But North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania were important.
Tom, I got a question for you. I don't want you to walk like you got a hunch, like the hunchback of Thomas Ellsworth. Just hold the mic, like if you can bring it a little closer, that's okay. At what point, which state, if he wins, which 2 or 3 battleground states you could say it's over with?
Pennsylvania is a huge one.
Pennsylvania and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania and who?
And North Carolina.
Carolina.
And North Carolina, but also Wisconsin. I'll read you something that Clay Travis just tweeted. Listen to this. Trump just split the gambling odds in Wisconsin. He's now favored to win 6 of the 7 swing states in gambling markets. Keep voting, pour on more steam, and sprint through the finish line. Damn, that when the gambling odds are that strong, that's interesting.
Good, awesome, good. Yes, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
Working.
So, we're back. Okay, good.
It's working.
Tom, question for you. A lot of people, how many of you, when you're talking to your friends and family, a lot of the people that are your, folks you work with, or maybe they want to support Trump, they're like, look, I'm convinced there's going to be cheating. I'm convinced this is going to be stolen. How many of you have friends that believe that? Raise your hand if you believe. Okay. How effective is it when you hear these stats that Laura Trump and others have hired 5,000 lawyers to make sure everyone is being held accountable? Do you think their administration has done a good job preparing lawyers to protect anything that could happen that's illegal?
Yeah, Tom, take mine. No, I think that's good and prudent, right? When the Chinese start lining up ships and Air Force bases right in Taiwan, you take them serious. What we've seen is something we need to take serious, and I think getting those lawyers ready.
Why was that guy crying?
We have to be
Did
ready.
we figure out what happened to him?
Like, to have a fair election, you have to show that you are going to act swiftly and strongly to make sure it's fair. It's almost like, in defense, that the best defense of a country is to show strength and willingness to take the step. And I think having the lawyers ready tells the other side, we're watching, we want fair elections, and we're going to protect it.
We talked about it earlier today. Ron McDaniel getting out and Laura Trump taking over. Because if Ron McDaniel was in, no lawyers, no nothing. She's in the establishment. I think him getting Laura Trump in there is absolutely fantastic. And again, I'll keep going back to X. You wouldn't be seeing any of these videos of people complaining We can't leave. People bringing camera phones and showing I'm hitting Trump and it's hitting Kamala's name on these voting machines. So I think one of the biggest moves was getting Laura Trump in there because she means business and she's not playing games, and that's what I like.
You know, some of that story that nobody's talking about, something that's really interesting is I think what's going to happen is if you look at how the mainstream media is behaving, they are very, very worried. The money starts talking because people, so let me give you an example. Let me give you a stat. Washington Post over the past 4 years has lost half its readership. They lost $70 million last year. Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. He bought it for his daughter. That's why he's saying, hey guys, nobody is reading your articles because nobody trusts you. And the New York Times, you know why the New York Times, the great New York Times, you know why they make money? Crossword puzzles. Nobody's reading their stories either. Maybe a couple pockets on the coasts. And so now what you're going to see is if these magazines, if these newspapers, if this media wants to stay in business, they got to start telling the truth. So to me, that's the silver lining, and nobody's talking about that story. But money starts talking, man, and the more you lie, the more the rest of us go, I'm not reading that. I don't read the New York Times. I used to read it cover to cover. I haven't read it in 10 years because I don't trust it. I don't believe it because they're lying. And so what you are going to see, like with the Washington Post, is people like Jeff Bezos going, hey, you guys, you suck. Get with it. Write the truth, or we're going to die. And that's what's happening. So I like that. That's what the free market says.
I mean, that's a very good point, Rob. Do you have the clip of what happened at Maricopa County today where the guy came out?
Just ban Techie. Ban Techie, please. Good God. He's laser focused on Texas. Just ban him. Anyone that's talking about Texas going blue needs to just be fucking banned. I never heard from him again. They're too retarded to be talking about this shit.
Brandon, I think you have it as well because you texted to us. Rob, I'll just text it to you directly. And by the way, there's a guy who has been on our podcast a few times. He used to be hated 100% of the time. Then he went to 80%, then 70%, then 60%. Some people like him right now. And this guy's got a weird last name. His name is Chris Cuomo, okay? He may join us in a few minutes. Let's see what he has to say. Hang tight. While we're getting him ready, I want you to watch this video. Go ahead, Rob. This is Maricopa County. Let me say it to you before he says it. Maricopa County officials just announced bad news for Kamala Harris and the Democrats yesterday. Go ahead, Rob. Show this clip.
Of those approximately 1.4 million ballot packets, we have sent approximately 27,000 to curing so far. Now, what curing is that's the process by which we attempt to contact the voter if we cannot match the signature. We have cured about 15,000 so far out of that 27,000. We have until 5 calendar days after Election Day in order to cure as many of those as we can. Of those approximately 1.4 million ballot packets, we have sent approximately 27,000 to curing so far. Now, what curing is that's the process by which we attempt to contact the voter if we cannot match the signature. We have cured about 15,000 so far out of that 27,000. We have until 5 calendar days after Election Day in order to cure as many of those as we can.
By the way, Tom, to the person that doesn't know what this means, what did he just say? We've cured. What does that mean to the average person?
Well, to say he's curing means something is sick. And what was sick is they received a bunch of mail-in ballots. There were some signatures that they could not identify or that were improperly filled out. So they actually, in Arizona, make phone calls over a 5-day period to try to reach the voter. Did you vote here and drop this off? I'm trying to get your name and your signature to line up, and the ballot was not correctly signed. If they can contact it, then they say that sick ballot is cured and it goes in the stack to be counted.
So is this bad news for them when something like this happened in Maricopa County that said we probably need 10 to 12 days to count everything?
I think Maricopa had those lawsuits with Kerry Lake last time, and so they're doing the right thing, being transparent, saying we have a problem.
Well, that's great to see that. When you're seeing that, all we want, if you ask the average person what they're looking for, the average person just wants a fair election. If we have a fair election, there's not a lot to be worried about.
Just tell me, please.
Were you going to say something?
Yeah, can I see an image of that guy one more time, please? I don't know who he is. I don't know what he represents. It was hard to hear, but I'm questioning his decision-making ability. Just shave it off, bro. That hair. His hair looks like I caught on fire. I don't know if you're left. I don't know if you're right. I know that. What I do know, Ryan Callen, is the one thing I hear of Maricopa
He looks
County.
like
I got better hair than that guy.
Friends from Britain.
Yeah, he's
Isn't that guy's hair like Henry's cousin? That hair.
See what you're trying to. We have a lot of beautiful bald people here. Rob Garjo, I see Mac over here. So you got to just embrace it. Jason Statham. I don't know what he's saying. What I do know is.
What the fuck? Got the chips. Thoughts on the chips? Got the chips. Crying about what? Trump's up. Y'all ain't watched the thing I've shown you all night. Hey, hold on. Commercial again. I want to watch CNN. Or I want to watch that what to do with crying. Dude, I got to plug the phone in for real. We're going to die. She's definitely not kicking ass. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but that's not happening. You're not watching TV? You don't have the TV on? Hey, find me a way to watch CNN. Oh, it's live right now on YouTube. Oh, what's this? Watch his ballot process. This is gay. I want to see Jake Tapper cry.
8:20 in the east, 5:20 in the west.
Oh, here we go. NBC.
Votes are being counted as we speak. That's the road to 270, filling out a bit with some predictable wins and losses in the country. But let's go to the battlegrounds.
I want to watch John King. Give me the results.
We'll continue to watch it. Ohio, the polls have closed there. It is too early to call, although that one battleground is now more a reliably red state. We'll see how that shakes out. Pennsylvania, stop me.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance, and I saved hundreds.
On the Commonwealth, too early to call there. And in Georgia, we characterize this as too close to call. So we are about halfway through.
I got a laptop coming tomorrow. They wouldn't give it to me today. Their policy, they got to deliver it to your house. What kind of shit is that?
Our expectation that right now, this vote in Georgia, 16 electoral votes, just to close their call.
All right, let's go over to Hallie Jackson with some new exit polling information on the gender gap.
So this is the storyline we're talking about all night, right? We say it, Savannah, Lester, you both said it, the battle of the sexes, men versus women. It gets a little bit more complicated at that, but let's start with the gender gap nationally here. And you can see it absolutely still exists. So these are exit polls nationally based on gender. You can see, obviously, this is just the vote here. Women, 52%, 47% men. Typically what we might see. When you get into vote break, I'm going to ask our team to pull that up. You are seeing that more women are backing Vice President Harris. More men are backing former President Trump. More women, 55% for Harris, Trump 43%. We'll go to men, and you'll see it flips, right? That red.
She's underperforming Biden all over the place.
When it comes to men nationally, and we'll pull that up so you can see it. The other piece of this, though, there's more to it, right? And when you get a little bit deeper in race and education, that is where this gets really key. And for that, you look at white college-educated women. We've been talking about this demographic a lot here in some of these key swing states. She is doing better with white college-educated women. Donald Trump is doing better with non-college educated white women, and that is another piece of the gender gap dynamic that's at play here. Well, actually, we have a historic gender gap potentially, and we have a historic education gap potentially. And I want to bring in our panel. We've got Sarah Fagan, who's here. She was a veteran at the Bush White House, George W. Bush, the political director there, and Senator Kevin Constable of the great state of Missouri that was once a swing state as well. You were a Democratic senator. Way back when. So we talked a lot about the gender gap, but I think the education gap is key here too. When you hear what Hallie says, Senator, what's your take?
I think, we have so many divides at this point. We have urban, rural. We have college educated, non-college educated. But the big one this election are women and men. And yes, there is a difference between college educated women and non-college educated women. But the support for Harris is so big among college educated women. And the key in this election, I think, is are they going to drag their husbands, their sons, their uncles, with them over to the Trump side? Because these are my peeps, right?
The shy Harris voters.
College-educated older women. Yeah, I live in that place.
Is this the battle of the sexes, or is that being overplayed?
Well, I do think that college-educated women are a critical, if not the critical voting bloc in this election. And, Hallie, you pointed out that according to the exit polls, it's 53% of the electorate. In 2020, it was 52. Now, 1 point doesn't seem like a lot, but, if Kamala Harris drives up her results among women, in these close contests like Georgia and Pennsylvania, that could be a deciding factor.
I can't believe we haven't actually talked about it yet tonight. Reproductive rights. This is the first presidential election post-Dobbs, the decision that overturned Roe versus Wade. We've seen the potency of that issue. Abortion rights measures have passed every time they've been on the ballot since the Dobbs decision, but we haven't yet had a presidential election. Do you think that issue still has its potency and is a weak spot for Republicans?
I think it has its potency for sure. It definitely cuts both ways, meaning, you see about 10% of the electorate on both sides of the issue for whom that is the most important issue. But there's no question among younger voters, especially younger women, that's an issue that is driving them out. And so the question is, really, is that the main issue they're voting on, or is that one of many issues they're voting on?
Yeah, I think, frankly, when we look at this, if Kamala Harris wins the presidency, we're going to talk a lot about how the women got her there, but I don't think we should ignore the fact that college students are playing a big role today. The lines, the overperformance in college campuses right now, whether you're in North Carolina or Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Nevada, on the ground, I've talked to the team that's running the ground game in all of these states. They have never seen this kind of response on college campuses. So we may have a divide there between kids in college that are voting age and kids who aren't in college that are voting.
Is that playing out just in a few states or across all states?
In all of the states, they're exceeding their model on how many people are voting at these college places that are primarily college students.
Yeah, we can put up the Florida abortion ban. Remember, there are 10 states with abortion on the ballot tonight. We can show you how Florida Amendment 4. This, by the way, requires a 60% to reach a 60% level. So right now, not there yet. We're not making a call, but that's.
It's been interesting to see these ballot measures. We have one in Florida. You mentioned there's abortions on the ballot literally in 10 states, 2 of them battlegrounds, Nevada and Arizona. Some of the battlegrounds, Michigan, for example, had abortion on the ballot 2 years ago, lifted Democrats' prospects
Yeah,
in
get Techie
Michigan.
out of here, is a dummy.
Now, is there a question in your mind, Senator McCaskill?
Oh my God, she's up in he was in here earlier. Kentucky, oh my God, she's up. No, she's not. What the fuck are you talking about? He must be watching The View.
With regard to the ballot measure in a battleground like Michigan?
I don't know. I think ProPublica has done such an amazing job of publicizing the deaths to women because of Trump really extreme abortion bans that are in many, many states. And Texas is a battleground state, but there's a Senate race out there that I've got half an eye on tonight. And I think when you have women dying who want to have the children, who are suffering a miscarriage and can't get the health care they need, that takes it to a different level. And I don't think we had very many of those stories out there in 2022 like we have in 2024. And I think the campaign has certainly emphasized those stories and the brave women telling them.
Yeah, they're all fake.
I also think that this is an issue that Republicans have struggled to find the footing on the paradigm talk.
Let me just, if you forget that thought a moment, we have an election alert now. This is a poll closing here at the 8:30.
All right, nobody give a fuck about Arkansas. Get your dumb ass out of here. I guess some big thing. Some big alert. Arkansas polls closing. You already know Trump's winning that.
Donald Trump will win.
Yeah, no shit.
Arkansas
No shit.
6 electoral votes. Here's where we are on the map to 270. At least Donald Trump at 99 electoral votes. 27 for Harris. Again, the goal, 270.
All right, let's go to the battlegrounds. Georgia's race for president too close to call at this hour. 53% of the vote in, just too close to make.
Too close to call. Trump's up 320,000 votes. Too close to call.
Pennsylvania and North Carolina also too early to call. We do have more vote there, but we're just not in a position yet to call those races. However, Tom, as I go to you, these are some of the races. Georgia and North Carolina, these are fast counters. And we may be able to make a call by the middle of the night or in the early hours this morning, and that will be quite telling.
Yeah, our decision desk guidance is that Georgia and North Carolina both improving the way they tabulate votes. We should have a projected winner. At some point tonight, those will be the 2 first battle lines that we hope to project and we hope to call at some point earlier tonight. But we'll have to wait and see. We're ready for it. We could be surprised by anything. I want to talk about Virginia for a little bit. Again, a caveat here, as Chuck Todd reminded us. Northern Virginia, the suburbs, they do sort of report late. That vote is still coming in, but we still see some troubling signs for Kamala Harris, at least in some of these counties. So Biden was at 61%, 95% of the vote is in. And I just want to highlight this. There's only about 28.
That's that shot Techie took. Got him fucked up, man.
57%. 61% was where Biden was. As we keep going around, my team flagged another county. Fairfax County, she's doing fine. Prince William, though.
Parr is clueless. Parr is about as clueless as Techie.
Educated, college degrees, sort of your establishment Democrats, these and a growing area of Virginia as well. A lot of people move here.
Trump is overperforming and she's underperforming Biden all over the country. You might as well quit lying about it. It's too late to lie now. They're showing the numbers right here on the TV. Biden 52%. She's at 49. Trump was 45 in 2020, 48.
But there's only 35% of the vote in, so still a lot of votes to be counted there. So we're going to stay and watch that. As we move further west, this is Dallas County, this is Trump country, in West Virginia, you can see in the rural areas, so that's going to be good there for the Republicans if they want to hold those marks. Virginia Beach, this is another area we're going to be watching. Again, an area that sometimes tends to strong. Trump was 48% in 2016. Biden was able to flip it 30% in. Again, still early, but Trump is ahead there. So we're watching Virginia, guys, and we'll see what happens. We're still waiting for some of the votes to come in here, but some signs that, maybe trouble Democrats, maybe they trouble Republicans as well. We're going to have to wait. Back to you guys.
All right, we shall wait. We do have a key projection right now. The state of Delaware, the home state of the sitting president, Joe Biden, will go for Kamala Harris as expected. Here's how the vote shook out, just 48% in, but this is an easy projection with the margins as they are expected to be. So here's where we fill out our map at 8:30 on the East Coast. Delaware being added to the tally for Kamala Harris. Donald Trump leading as some of these big states in the South, which are expected to go his way, are starting to report in. Speaking of the South, we've got NBC News correspondent Allison Barber. She's in the key county of Gwinnett County, Georgia. First vote starting to come in there, and what are you hearing? We've got both campaigns really laser focused on this area.
Yeah, they care a lot about this county, Ben. And let me just show you, because we just started to see precinct captains coming in with their memory cards, with the votes that happened in person.
Let's get on Discord.
This line that goes out the door around.
Oh, maybe it fucks the shit up on the TV if I do that. It's all right, I'll get on the YouTube app. Tell Paul to get into Discord so I can hear him cry. Even if she wins, he'll be spazzing out. It'll be funny. Get him in there. Or should I make a Twitter space?
Can you do this rhyme with me? A tweet.
What in the fuck?
The earlier side, and they're still working over here tonight. This is where the mail-in ballots will come through and are coming through, and they're sorting all of those. Ultimately, we're going to see more ballots.
Trump and less so under Kamala. And I found that to be a rather
better this year, enough to possibly chip away at Harris's margins and maybe state Republicans strong. Were they able to reach out to people they described as likely Harris voters who were hard to reach, people who probably vote Democrat, who maybe hadn't voted in past elections. The local county Democrats, they told us they spent a lot of time trying to reach those voters, canvassing directly, targeting ads to them, and sending a lot of mailers in more than a dozen languages.
About for those dissatisfied Republican voters. I think back to an event in Bucks County just a couple weeks ago where Harris was standing there on stage with over 100 Republican officials and aides to former Republican presidents.
Paul's a coward.
Argument, echoing the argument that Liz Cheney has made to Republican women that you can come out, put country above party, and you don't have to tell anyone about your vote. And also one other thing that Terry was pointing on, the ground operation in Pennsylvania is just massive, and it is something that the Harris campaign is eager to tout. But it's not just the size of their ground game, it is where it is. They have a lot of offices, 16 of them across the state in Republican counties that Donald Trump won by double digits last time. And they feel that that is that kind of mobilization effort that is going to make a big difference, especially when it comes to reaching those Republicans.
Get that clown in here.
You heard the Julia Roberts voice ad in space as well that basically encouraged women to go in there and to vote, reminding them that their vote is sacred and also no one will ever know how to vote.
What clown in here?
At the end of the night or end of these couple of days after covering this election, we'll see when it got under Donald Trump's skin.
look,
That fucking clown in here.
Donald Trump's skin is he knows what we know, which is if Kamala Harris wins this election, it's going to be because of women voting. It's going to be because of that gender gap. And what's been striking to me in the final days of this campaign is that Trump campaign and his supporters have been explicit in their effort about trying to drive up the mail vote. I've never really seen anything quite like it. Stephen Miller, who of course is one of his closest advisors, was out today on Twitter saying, any men out there, if you know any men who haven't voted, get them to the polls. I mean, I've never really seen that. They are trying to, what they are pointing to is the gender gap on the other side of the gender gap. They want to drive men up enough to compensate for the fact that they're going to lose.
Yeah, these women are insane. They're voting for abortion.
Focused so heavily on the male gender gap.
Well, I mean, look, if that's what you have, if that's your best option, if that's what you've got going, that's going to get you the most votes, then I would say you've got to go for it. I think one of the interesting things that we haven't talked about tonight was if you look at Osceola County in Florida, if you look at that county, you'll see that Donald Trump right now is winning that county. That is a very heavy Puerto Rican county. And if you go look at 2020, he lost that county by 12, 13 points. It's a pretty amazing thing. The other thing that's going on right now is Virginia is about tied with about 40 to 45%.
You got fucking Donna Brazile on ABC. Look at this shit.
Out there, look at, because it's a pretty quick state. They close at 7 p.m.
Panel of dorks on here.
We look at Virginia to kind of get a sense on where things are at around the country.
Rick, dive into some of these counties in Virginia, what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that is getting a lot of attention so far is Loudoun County. These are suburbs and kind of extended areas outside Washington, D.C. This is the part of the state that has made Virginia essentially a blue state at the national level. And it's a place that you can see Hillary Clinton getting about 56%. Joe Biden goes up to 61%. So far tonight, it's about 95% of the vote in. Harris is looking more like Hillary Clinton. Now, she won the state as well, but that's not the kind of trend line you want. Educated suburban voters. These are places where you'd expect Harris to do extremely well. She's going to be hitting her benchmarks. I don't think it's a real
12-point swing to Trump.
Right now, but as you know, that Donald Trump is
or Kamala.
His numbers in more conservative parts of the state.
You got to be more specific.
This is where
For being so vague.
It could be a warning sign for other trends we're seeing elsewhere in the country.
Or a tighter race than it was 4 years ago.
Definitely that. I mean, we could look at a state like Florida right now, which is going overwhelmingly Republican. I don't think we're going to see the same kind of trend in Virginia, but we're not seeing Democrats overperform in the same way Republicans are in a red state of Florida.
Let's go to what Johnson at Trump headquarters with this reporting on the gender gap and this outreach to male voters, in particular young men, and as you heard John Carl report just a moment ago, this 11th hour push. If you know any men out there, get out and vote. Yeah, David, the Trump campaign has been laser focused on the young men, and in fact, they've been giving us updates throughout the evening. And
Car's a coward. He won't come in Discord.
Coming in, of course, Rick can check me on all of this, but saying that Latino men in some key areas are breaking for Trump. They've also said that Trump is doing better with women than Kamala Harris is doing with men. That's something that we heard from the Trump campaign with the early vote coming in. And I can tell you just anecdotally, as this crowd is starting to fill in here, the thousands of people who are going to be at this election night reception here, there are a lot of young men in the audience here. I was at Madison Square Garden with that big rally there, some 20,000 people, and I spoke to a lot of these young men and asked them what it was about Donald Trump that appealed to them. Many of them either weren't old enough to vote before or maybe didn't participate in politics in the past, but they were drawn to him for a variety of reasons. Immigration and the economy were a big part of it. A lot of these young men who feel like the middle-class American dream is difficult to achieve, difficult to reach, they felt like they could connect with Trump, and he was the man who could help them get there. But we've seen things like the podcast with Joe Rogan, Hulk Hogan, UFC President Dana White, Elon Musk around the Trump campaign. All of that has been an effort to draw young men in. And even Barron Trump, who is now 18 years old, by the way, Donald Trump's youngest son, who Donald Trump calls a tech genius, has actually...
Tell Parr to quit running. I made a Twitter space. Tell him get in there, quit running. I thought he was confident. Why is he hiding? Parr, quit hiding. Parr knows what's coming. He's fixing his little panties.
Our thanks to you. We're going to drill down on Latino voters, what we're seeing from the exit polls in Florida, where we can extrapolate nationwide, and how Kamala Harris is performing among Latino voters
peel away some of the Latino support for Joe Biden 4 years ago. And Maria Elena Salinas is standing by. What she's seeing in the numbers here tonight, too, right after the break. Don't go away. ABC News live coverage of the presidential election continues right after this.
It'll all be over soon. Where is Parr? Quit hiding. Beta. Of course, I'm confident. All the numbers lean towards him. She's underperforming Biden. He's outperforming his 2020. Everything I've been telling you for weeks gonna happen. That's how it's going so far. What was that one I was watching before? The guy had the number. EBC garbage.
When the story matters most. A special edition of Good Morning America with the election coverage you need. Your voice, your vote. The race for the White House. Election night 2024.
I want to watch CNN, but they don't have their shit on YouTube.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the path to 270, where things stand at this hour. Donald Trump picking up 10 states on the race to 270.
She definitely needs to do better than Biden. Underperforming Biden is not good because Trump's going to overperform what he did last time.
More red than it was even just a decade ago.
That's how it's going so far.
Latino voters, Lindsay, in Florida.
This is kind of foreboding potentially for the Harris campaign. When you take a look at the Hispanic and Latino vote in Florida, 24%, they account for the electorate. Look at this. Donald Trump leading by 16 points over Kamala Harris. He's getting 57% of the vote. He's actually doing 11 points better with Latinos than he did in 2020. And Republicans actually haven't won the Latino vote since 2004. Now, some people might say, well, there are a lot of Cuban voters in particular in Florida, but still, she's actually underperforming. And Cuban voters tend to go with Republicans, so that's not so unusual. But she's also underperforming with the Latino vote when it comes to battleground states of Georgia and also Pennsylvania.
So let's bring in Maria Elena Salinas, who knows this obviously very well. And she's with us here for our coverage.
For the 5.
Maria, what are you seeing as far as how Kamala?
Yeah, I think he wins Pennsylvania.
Latino voters really across these battlegrounds.
Well, across the battleground states, and just let's remember that there are hundreds of thousands of Latino voters in all of the battleground states. And, President Joe Biden did very well with Latino voters in 2020, 65% of the vote versus 32% for then President Trump. And Vice President Harris' support among Hispanics is a bit lower. The latest ABC poll had Vice President Harris at 54% versus 39% for former President Trump. But it's not all bad news for Vice President Harris, because when she entered the race just over 100 days ago, the numbers were much lower. And she's been able to increase her numbers as Latino voters got to know her, especially women and young Latinas. She's been doing a lot of outreach with Latino voters across the country, hoping her own immigrant story will resonate with them. I think the challenge for her, David, has been that, like most voters, the top issues for Latinos are the economy, inflation, crime, and immigration. And we know that former President Trump does better on those issues. Now, there is anecdotal indications and some polling on Spanish language media that shows that the so-called joke at Madison Square Garden, calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, has moved some Puerto Rican voters her way in Pennsylvania, home to over 400,000 Puerto Rican voters, as well as North Carolina and Georgia with hundreds.
What are you making of this?
No, I was going to say, can we explain the significance of this to the people? Because everyone's really just
See what
looking at
Alex
Trump
is
and
saying.
Kamala. So the significance of this seat?
Well, if we win the Senate, which it looks like it's been done now, so and half the states are more on reporting, then we'll probably get more seats. And so we gain in the House and the Senate, and Trump gets in. It's called the trifecta. We have the legislative, we have the executive, and we have the judicial. And then we can actually purge the deep state legally and lawfully.
That's really exciting too, because it's really hard, even if you have someone that you want to win that gets the presidential election, if he has everyone working against him, it's like how much change can he actually be effective with? But yeah, that's really great news.
Exactly. So he needs the infrastructure of the runway.
Exactly. So that's really good.
So how are you feeling right now?
I'm excited. And then earlier, they were saying he might.
Oh, what the fuck? So hard to get in here. Quit running. See, Biden's not going to be at the party. Daddy Biden won't be at the party.
I mean, you look at the Montana and Ohio seats, I think at least one of them flips. I mean, I think at least one of them flips, probably two. And now you're just looking at what's going
Dude, I need my other phone. I need that other phone.
in Wisconsin, in Arizona, in Nevada. If Trump can pull these other senators, these other Senate candidates across the finish line, here's the problem with the Senate race, though. And this is why the Republicans do much better in the House.
Two ain't enough, but I got three.
Because the Senate races can be rigged and stolen at the state level, just like the presidential election can, because they can overwhelm the entire state in the Democrat cities. That's why Pennsylvania gets Democrat senators like John Fetterman, who literally can't talk or walk, instead of Dr. Oz.
If it'll work.
So that's the only concern I have in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania specifically, and even Arizona, is if they just steal these states with the big cities, then it's going to be impossible for the Senate candidates to get across the finish line as well. But if Trump wins if Trump wins Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona,
there we go.
I think Republicans come out of this deal, and Nevada. I'd say it's probably safe to say Republicans could come out of this with a +3 in the Senate.
We have all been so persecuted. Owen spent 4 months in jail. In the indictment, they said that he did not work at InfoWars and that he lied, saying that he was with me outside the Capitol, stopping people getting in, despite the fact that Owen had worked here for many years before that, was my co-host, had his own popular show. We hired him, and when he was here before they took him off the internet, he had bigger videos on Facebook. He had one with 100 million views. One every day with like 50 million. It was insane. They told him in the document he's not really pressed. He didn't have a right to be there. He's not bragged about him. I mean, if he got hundreds of millions of views a day, I mean, that's kind of big. and they then put him in prison, and because they conceded Mr. Jones is a reporter, and he did try to get people out, and where we might indict him, but Owen, Your Honor, was right there, and he went in the Capitol, and he never went in the Capitol, and just total lies in a federal filings that you don't even believe they're that criminal. And the public doesn't know it till it happens to you. And I guess that's why black folks who have been screwed over a lot on record are like, oh, he's a felon now. Now we like him. Because Donald Trump didn't do jack crap but stand up for this country. And Owen went to prison like Steve Bannon for nothing. Even Bannon had executive rights under the Constitution, separation of powers, working at the White House as chief advisor to not testify and to take, that is executive privilege. It's a separation of powers. And they put him in jail for 5 months or whatever. Oh, in 4 months. I mean, and then they attacked my family, persecuted the living hell out of me, fake judgments, fake rigged trials, stuff I won't even get into. It takes too long. We've all got skin in the game. And I got to tell you, this is a new type of feeling. I don't want to count my chickens yet. But my God, this is a level of not even satisfaction. I feel like a giant weight is starting to be lifted off of me, a big boot. And I don't want to persecute these people. I don't want to get vengeance. But if that means putting them all in prison to get them off our necks, yes, I want them off of me. I want them to leave me alone. Oh, and you're a former political prisoner. What is this like for you to and to know that we have got these people politically in the information war in justice's sights right now?
Well, there's a demoralization factor, I think, that the American people have when you go through the rigmarole of the justice system, legitimately or illegitimately, for petty things even. And you know that the biggest criminals in the country are in Washington, D.C., and they never have any justice. They can lie. The people in the media can lie, defame, slander, libel as much as they want. They can steal elections. They can start wars. They can false flags. They can do all these things. But you can deal with the Justice Department for the pettiest of crimes. And, I think it's probably worth mentioning at this point that there are still hundreds of January 6th political prisoners. And I hope that when Donald Trump gets into the White House, he reviews these cases and figures out which one are nonviolent offenders, which ones don't belong there, and starts to throw out pardons immediately. A lot of these are family men. A lot of these are veterans. And they've been
Parson idiot.
And so everything the Democrats accuse Trump or the Republicans of, they are guilty of. Using the military against the people, that's Democrat Department of Defense policy. Arresting their political opposition, that's Democrat practice in the last 4 years. So, look, you hate to say it because
Joy Reid. Have a meltdown. Who are the 79,000 retards? I mean, people was Googling, did Biden drop out today? People went there to vote. And he wasn't on it. And they went, what the hell? The fuck is going on?
Ron DeSantis has put everything on trying to ensure that Florida will buck the trend of every other state, including red states, that have passed the right to bodily autonomy. He's put everything on it, including, as you said, threats, whatever it takes to try to make sure that amendment fails, using the power of government in a way that is, I would say, openly fascist and determined and very determined. Because, of course, this is something that he wants to be his signature thing.
I don't want people to get, too crazy.
Who are these? How does she get on TV? Can't they find people a little bit smarter to bullshit people? God, where is Paul? I thought he's supposed to be in here talking shit. Where is that man? The New York Times estimates Trump wins 279 to Harris 259. Harris has the popular vote, but only 0.8% chance. Park, get in here. Par, quit running. Quit running immediately, Par. Get in this space. Quit running. Answer for it. Par, answer for it. Get in here and answer for it. Tell us your unhinged theories. I want to hear the unhinged theories. Please, Par, I want to hear the unhinged theories. Par! Your unhinged theories. Tell us all about it, Par. Trump's gonna lose North Carolina and all this shit. Based on what? I don't think so. I don't believe so. I don't see it. Who's calling me this time of night? Go ahead. What's all this bullshit? Hello? What is it? What the hell is it? Why'd Magic Boy call me and then hang up? The weird guy. I made it so everyone can speak.
For North Carolina, I'd love to see some North Carolina numbers. I mean, these numbers are coming in as we speak.
Yeah, let's hit North Carolina. Again, we're going to look at all the state. I'm going to be looking at
I got 3 fucking phones side by side. Your thoughts?
I'm just wondering where the fuck Carr is at, man. He was talking all that shit.
I mean, this is where Democrats have to drive up the vote. Only 6% is in, but we can see how she's
Look at my little thing I got down there.
I'm not going to really draw too much.
Is my mic on?
We go to the research County. 76% of the vote is in. We compare her to Biden. 62-63. I know a lot of the vote is in over here in Orange County. This is UNC Chapel Hill.
God, why is this so zoomed in? Like, what the fuck is that?
Medical research jobs, high-tech research jobs.
I don't think my voice is working on this shit.
Democratic voters. 86% of the vote is in. Let's see how she compares to
It's a
Biden.
phone stand. You can sit your phone on it. It doesn't sit here good, though. It falls off if I'm not using it. I need to put it on a table.
Trump is on top right now. He's going to run up the rural vote. We can check out some of his counties over here.
Shit wasn't working.
North Carolina, Graham County. These are some of the counties that were affected by Hurricane Helene and all that devastating pain. 95% and 81%. In 2020, he was at 79, so kind of overperforming.
Your prediction?
How many people were going to actually vote in here?
I think Trump narrowly wins this shit because there's too many retarded people in this country.
I don't want no McDonald's.
They were so concerned about this area that election officials actually changed the rules so you could actually vote in other counties if you couldn't vote in your own county. It looks like turnout's okay. We heard that from Sam Brock. Still is that again affected by Hurricane Helene. 55% of the vote there in Buncombe County.
Where's Parr?
59.
Can y'all hear him? Can y'all hear the Twitter space on YouTube?
Y'all hear me?
And she's hitting higher marks. Democrats are going to love that news, but there's still a lot of the vote is out. 76% in wait. Let me see where else in the state that we're still waiting on vote because there are a lot of rural counties. Listen, if right now, let me go to the entire state. So 41% of the vote is in. Look at this giant circle around Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte, a lot of that vote, Mecklenburg County, it's a county that is majority minority, right? Mostly Black and Hispanic. And they're still waiting a lot of the vote there. That could be a very good sign for Democrats tonight. Let's see rural counties right here. If we check out Johnson County, just outside of Raleigh, connected that. I'm actually kind of curious, even though only 8% is in here. This was a county that we're looking at.
See, she's out underperforming Biden in every place, and he's outperforming his last election. Just watch NBC.
Bad sign for Kamala.
6 of 7 battleground states still waiting, obviously, for the 7th. Hallie, you heard the numbers. Break it down how we're viewing it through the lens of
through the exit polls, which are coming in. And I got to give the grain of salt caveat, which is these numbers don't get finalized until closer to Thanksgiving, right? So we don't want to overread into them, but they are an indication of where things stand. And what I'm looking at, given the polls have been closed now in the rest of the blue wall states, Michigan and Wisconsin, here's something interesting. Look at the youth vote here. This is a little tricky to look at, but I'm going to walk you through it. Look at Vice President Kamala Harris. She is winning younger voters under the age of 30 in Wisconsin, but Donald Trump is right on his heels at 47%. He is actually winning younger voters in Michigan, 51% to 46%. And if you take a look even further into this, you can see that he is overperforming where he was among young voters in the state of Wisconsin, 47% now. That's a double-digit increase from where he was 4 years
ago. An 11-point
ago.
increase with young voters in Wisconsin for Trump.
I will also tell you it is a similar story in Pennsylvania as well. The Michigan numbers here.
Oh my God! Look at Michigan. 51% in 2024 to 37% in 2020 Trump.
Vice President Harris is doing better with
massive gains with young voters for Trump.
Relative to 2020. So there's some interesting dynamics at play. We thought Gordon Schwartz in Arizona.
Damn, he's like right behind her.
Which gives me personal pain.
She's like barely beating him in places that she's supposed to be like fucking.
Which is young voters,
Dude, she was like barely winning fucking Virginia.
She's only up by 1 point in fucking Missouri.
She was barely winning Virginia.
I'm fucking dead, bro. It's about to be over.
extremely
This
influential.
ain't looking good.
So I remember a lot of these states you have single voter registration, and who takes the most advantage of it? Young voters.
Right.
You know, it was interesting. A lot of Democrats were very optimistic about some of their chances in some of the big Midwestern states for House, Senate, and the presidency.
Trump down 10 points in New Hampshire.
The Ann Arbor kids in Michigan this time in 2020.
She's gonna win that shit.
The Iowa City kids in Iowa, the Madison kids, and that this time they were all
New York, 72%.
The pandemic, they were home and were dispersed. Obviously, a big chunk of Michigan voters are from Michigan, University of Michigan folks from Michigan, but there's quite a few that aren't. And Democrats thought that could be a secret weapon for them. If the young men are pulling for Trump, then it's not as much of an impact. Still, there's a massive gender gap among young folks. Let's not. In fact, it may be bigger among young voters.
Young men and young women. And then we've seen Laura Jarrett joins the table here, and I know you're looking into some of the legal issues, but also following his ballot referenda, including the abortion measure that needed a 60% approval, didn't quite get there, 57%, so it went down to defeat in Florida. But to carry on this conversation, young women have been highly motivated by this issue of reproductive rights. Women of all ages motivated, young and old, and obviously it didn't work in Florida, but
This shit's insane, man.
we're still looking at a number of states, including places like Arizona, Missouri, Nebraska, South Dakota, all of which would change the right to an abortion to be enshrined in the Constitution, not something that you could take away easily. Once it's there, it can't just be wiped away when the change of legislature happens. And in those cases, it's a much different situation where you have to just get over a 50% threshold. And so it'll be interesting to see whether they can carry the ballot initiatives in those states, even if the former president is going to win in some of
We've seen these ballot measures, pro-abortion ballot measures, even in very red states, pass and sometimes pass with 56, 57% of the vote, which, by the way, is what they got in Florida.
There's been a significant shift in the electorate, if these exit polls bear out to what we see right now, into how people feel about abortion rights and abortion access since 4 years ago. I would suspect it is entirely probably because of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. In 2020, 51% of people felt that abortion should be legal in all or most cases. You know what it is now? 66%. That is a significant jump.
Let me just quickly go back to this second about the legally amended call to make, and this is in the state of Mississippi. NBC News now projects that Donald Trump will take all 6 electoral votes and will win in Mississippi. There is the breakdown right now: 21,000 vote difference, 10% in, but again, Donald Trump the projected winner in Mississippi. Here's the map. Here's where it leads us: the road to 270. Donald Trump, well, out in front with 160. Kamala Harris now with 30.
To expand the conversation, Simone Sanders Townsend, former spokesperson to
Kamala
Harris. I wonder what you're seeing in these numbers. I assume you have good sources inside the campaign. What are you hearing?
Greetings, everyone. It's good to see you. So what I am hearing is that Democrats writ large in all of the battleground states, and I've been talking to party chairs, folks within the campaigns, but also the organizers on the ground, they're feeling encouraged by what they're seeing from college campuses specifically. In Wisconsin, for example, in the 3rd Congressional District, there are 2 large college campuses in that state. And as one individual in Wisconsin told me, that they could flip a House district seat. In Philadelphia, the turnout in Philly specifically has surprised some Democrats. From in Baltimore, D.C., New York, there were buses that left early this morning, strategists, organizers, even some donors, and they all went down and knocked doors in Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia area, Philadelphia suburbs. Well, the numbers coming out of places like Temple University, where the lines were so long, people were standing in lines for 3 hours, college campus, they had to add more voting machines. They were not expecting that, Democrats, particularly in Pennsylvania, so they're encouraged, what I'm told, by the raw data, emphasis on the raw data they're seeing. So they don't want to speak out turn, but they feel all right.
Yeah, Simone, what is worrying the Harris camp right now? Looking at it from the other end of the glass.
Well, the lines are very long, and they want people to stay in line, Lester. I'm told that actually in Pennsylvania specifically, celebrities are FaceTiming in to the people who are in line, encouraging them to stay in line.
Get the fuck out of here.
There are concerts actually happening. They are
on the fucking phone.
Very close.
Please stay in line.
And the time that the vice president spent in the state, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I think is also indicative of where they see some gaps. Also, obviously, DeKalb County, in Georgia, the lines, the polling locations were staying open longer because of the bomb threats that were happening there and the evacuations that had to happen, encouraging people to know that it is safe to vote, stay in line, make your voice count. I think they want to ensure, they feel like that they can eke it out if people turn out to vote and stay in line.
All right. Simone, thanks very much.
We want to turn now to Garrett Hake. He's at Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach, Florida. And we just got the inside scoop from the Harris campaign, so we're hearing from the Trump campaign about what they're seeing in these states in the early going.
Savannah, the Trump campaign is very buoyed by what they've seen out of Wisconsin, specifically among black voters. They're pointing to our exit poll, which shows Donald Trump more than doubling his support among African Americans in Wisconsin. I cannot emphasize enough how much this has been an emphasis for the Trump campaign to try to improve their margins. If they got blown out with African American voters in 2020, if they were able to move the percentage that they got from 8% to 10, 12, 15, in this case, based on these early exit polls, getting 20% in Wisconsin, that's the kind of thing that could make a huge difference in a race that might be decided by 15 or 20,000 votes in those states. They spend heavily on television, they spend heavily on African American media, trying to find celebrity validators for Donald Trump, and particularly to reach out to young men. If Trump pulls this off tonight or in the days to come, those small changes at the margins among African American men, I think, will be a huge part of this story.
All right, Garrett, thank you. I want to go over to Peter Alexander at Harris headquarters, Washington, D.C. And how's the feeling there? What's the vibe?
Well, there's still a celebratory feel here right now. They're waiting for any particular data points that they can know if it's a good indication or not. The Harris campaign individuals still watching behind closed doors. The vice president watching alongside family and friends tonight. A lot of the donors and other big supporters of the vice president's at a hotel here in Washington, D.C. watching as well before they arrive here a little bit later this evening. I'll tell you some of the data points that they are pointing to right now is potentially some good indicators. One comes out of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, specifically as it relates to those three wards with the largest densities of Puerto Rican voters right now, that they say in those particular wards that they saw as of 5 o'clock, 3 hours before the polls closed, they had already reached the same number in terms of turnout as they had 4 years ago, which is to say that they believe that they are exceeding the numbers in the past. They think that's a good indication there. I'll punctuate a thought that some of those
As states get called for Trump, you're gonna watch Parr shift to different states. He'll start going, "Oh, we got it. We got Pennsylvania now. He's about to lose North Carolina, and he'll have to accept that. So he'll switch over and on." Parr, quit hiding. I know you're out there. Quit hiding.
He was talking all that shit earlier. Talking about how we were going to be calling her Madam President and shit.
We're already in line. It's a message that they're sharing right now. FaceTiming in Jennifer Garner, Demi Moore, among others, to keep those folks in line.
All right, Peter.
Simone was making that point a moment ago about if they can keep them in line.
You can keep them in line if Jennifer Garner's on the other line talking to your mom or Paul Rudd, and that's the strategy there. We've got a race to call here. Louisiana, no big surprise, but if you're filling out your map at home, you can add Louisiana there. Just 22% of the vote counted, but again, the margin expected to be rather large. So here's the map for those watching at home. The South, of course, reliably red for Donald Trump, and at this early hour, he is far out in front, but we await those key battleground states, and I think we've got Tom over there talking the great state of Ohio, a former battleground.
Semi-battleground, right? We got exit poll data out of Ohio as well. 17 electoral votes, about 55% of the vote is in. Trump is on top by about 266,000 votes. I want you to remember that number. Write it down if you can. I know it's kind of a big number, 266,000. The reason why I want to highlight that difference, because when we punch up Ohio here, so that's the spread, 287. It just changed. That's how fast voting data is coming in. Again, I love going to this, the remaining vote that's there. Again, here's the issue. The remaining votes in the Democratic counties like Franklin, which is Columbus, Cuyahoga, Cleveland. Look at the numbers here. In Cuyahoga, look how many votes are still out. 377,000. She's on top by 71%. Let's see how she did compared to Biden 4 years ago. 66%. So she's overperforming in Cuyahoga, and there's still a lot of that vote that's out. Let's go down to Franklin County. It holds the capital of Ohio, Columbus, 68%. Overperforming there with about 60% of the vote that's in. And then again, 266,000 remaining. So just those two counties, we're talking about more than 500,000 votes. And that's way bigger than the spread for the entire state.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, when you talk about some of her overperformance underperforming in those areas. The reason we expect Ohio likely goes red, but let's talk about the Senate race there.
Yeah.
Because we have the control of Senate hanging in the balance right now, and it hangs on this Senate race.
Yeah.
Bernie Moreno, the car dealer, versus Sherrod Brown, the incumbent. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so look at this, neck and neck, the difference here, only 74,000. So what does that mean? That means the Republican in this race is underperforming Trump. There could be a split ticket issue here. Again, way too early, 56% of the vote in. But look, the difference here is 74,000. Remember that number I was trying to remember? It was over 200,000. So that means that Trump is overperforming right now. Bernie Moreno is underperforming the Republican candidate. The incumbent is still down, but again, remember what I told you. There's a lot of that vote that's out in Cleveland, in Columbus. I'm going to look at one more spot here. Let's get back to the president's race. In Hamilton County, which is Cincinnati, she's at 62%. Biden was at 57. Again, look, this could be some of the early vote that's come in. It could be some of that blue mirage. Again, we're prefacing this is all early, but I'm going to get back over to you guys because there's a projection.
Yeah, Tom, we got a projection in the state of Rhode Island. NBC News projects that Kamala Harris will win in Rhode Island when all the votes are counted for election.
Trump up in Virginia by 31,000 votes. R was calling it in the Discord. Apparently, it's not over. It shouldn't even be that close. It's a blue state. You don't see the writing on the wall, Par? I've been telling you. She's underperforming in blue states. She's underperforming everything. She sucks. There's no enthusiasm for her. You do not install a candidate. You run a primary. That way you can see who's your most popular option. They didn't do that. They played themselves with this.
Yeah, sure.
She's not winning this. In one exit poll, she was down with black voters 20 points.
That's insane, man.
Or, yeah, Trump gained 20 points with black voters.
He was talking all that shit earlier.
He was talking mad shit for a week.
Yeah, so much to say earlier, but now he's nowhere to be found. He fit right in with white dudes for Harris. It's all gay men.
You see a lot more Puerto Ricans voted for Trump.
Oh, yeah. Glad to see that. My people out there actually got some fucking sense.
I guess they should tell more racist jokes.
Yeah.
Park, quit hiding.
NBC News Daily is #1 for afternoon news across all of
Pedro, have you been playing Sparking Zero?
Nah, man, I don't even have a fucking console, man. Just working. I'm in
Biden's
school.
America.
You said how's America? Oh, Biden's America.
Biden's America.
Yeah, shit, man. Tell you what.
My brother got it. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. I'll probably play that shit eventually. Especially if fucking Trump get in, then I can get a PS5.
Yep.
Welcome back on this election night. The road to 270 using Donald Trump out front with 168 to 34 for Kamala Harris. Let's show you
how many fucking electoral votes she got?
34.
To his 160 something?
68. 168.
Let's look at Ohio.
Get her ass whooped.
17 electoral votes not considered to be a battleground.
I mean, they'll call, like New York and shit, so.
Early to call right now.
Yeah.
Also, Colorado, too early to
Well, we all know that's going to her anyway, so who cares?
Kamala.
In Iowa,
Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump, that is too early to call as well. Let's go over to Tom Yamas right now, who can give us a little bit of breakdown on the
fucking clown show.
Clearly, at this point, they're both wide open.
Yes, so very early so far. No big surprises. If you're watching at home, you can find your state here. We've already given some. We've projected some states for former President Trump, some for the vice president, and still so many, the bulk of states right there in the middle, and still so many people still voting.
It's one thing if Harris wins, but he's being a pussy. Like, I mean, he was talking all this shit. Why is it not in the...
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't surprise me. I put him in his place when I was fucking 18 years old.
We'll click her in here. Get to 2024. This is the predetermined map. How the states voted in 2020, and then the 7 battlegrounds that will be decided tonight. So her easiest path is Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. She holds that blue wall. If she can do that, she gets to 270. If she's having a very rough night and she loses Pennsylvania, loses Michigan, loses Wisconsin,
If she's having a very rough night, she is having a rough night.
Where she can flip North Carolina, hold Georgia, hold Arizona, and get Nevada, hold it once again, she gets her as well. That path, though, would give Democrats hard palpitations. As far as former President Trump, his easiest route, just think of the east side. He holds Pennsylvania. He flips Pennsylvania. He holds North Carolina. He flips Georgia back. He gets to 270. But if he can't win Pennsylvania, he has to win somewhere else in the blue wall. He has to break through the blue wall. That's the main difference between his path and the vice president.
They're holding out on Georgia.
For her, even though she doesn't win any of these 3 big Midwest states, but for him, he has to win one of them.
How come they're holding out on Georgia, but they just immediately said Kamala won Virginia?
They trying to get her as much as she fucking can.
I'm going to take Nevada away. He has to win Arizona to get to 272.
I mean, she can, it's a blue state, but, it's close.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we were watching Ohio, because if he were not to win a state like Ohio, which he won the last 2 presidential elections, his whole map changes. Guys, back to you.
Well, right now, so far tonight, we haven't had any big shockers. But let's talk about Pennsylvania. There's a reason that the campaign...
Yeah, the election's going exactly as everyone said it would go. She's underperforming with black voters. She's winning women, which is sad for women. I mean, it's embarrassing for women.
Yes.
And I thought he would perform well with young voters because he's going on all these podcasts and shit. So, of course, he's going to win them. She didn't want to go on any of that. She chose to run on abortion. That was her campaign. She's putting all her stock in women want abortion bad enough to vote for her.
That Joe Rogan endorsement convinced a lot of young men to vote for
Democrats. The fact that we're talking about it right now, the fact that there's been so much play in North Carolina,
It's all discussing, man.
so much time there in recent days. That they have tried to open
I'm trying to get Parr in here. Who y'all voted for?
Who you voted for?
Trump.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Big T might be the way, my boy. Yeah, you already know where I'm at. Hey,
You know what's
Big
real
T
crazy,
might be the
bro?
way.
It's real crazy.
What's going on, man?
Fuck both of them.
Nigga said fuck both of them. Why you say that, Sean?
Because, bro, neither of them are good candidates.
You not lying. Neither one of them really good. But, hey, bro, we're going to have to pick one, nigga.
Do we have to?
Shit, nigga. Seem like it. It seem like it, bro. We're going to have to, bro. Nigga, hey, all I got to say is, man, whatever is about to go down, this nigga is about to be bad, bro.
I mean, ain't Trump winning?
Is Trump winning? Yeah, Trump is winning right now.
Yeah.
It might be gay, bro. Unless they pull some bullshit and try to steal Trump. Oh, shit, hold on.
That'd be a crazy story, 22% chance to win North Carolina.
I mean, she's barely beating him in, like, blue states, bro. Like, she's about to fucking lose. This shit ain't close.
Wait. So, is the winner going to be decided tonight?
They'll probably pull some bullshit and be like, oh, there's some mail-in ballots that we forgot to count or some stupid shit like that, and then they'll try to do it, like, tomorrow or something. But hopefully, like, the hope is that they would do it in one night. But
Man, Mark Robinson got destroyed. I saw it coming up.
Who's that?
He was the Republican governor in North Carolina. What? Like, I will say one thing I will say is J.D. Vance, I really do like him after watching the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm not gonna lie, he sounds like a really like down to earth guy.
Yeah, I mean that's how it is with most of the people in the Trump campaign. They're normal fucking people as opposed to Kamala shit. They're fucking trying to cut kids' cocks off.
Back in 2016, Trump only won by about 11,000 votes. On that campus, I actually anecdotally heard students energizing other students by saying, if only a fifth more of this campus were to have come out, it could have made a difference. So what does that look like right now? Who does that mean did better on those campuses if we start to see those marches? And just to roll back to 2016, sorry, you'll recall in 2016, Hillary Clinton, when she did the postmortem of her campaign, the criticism was she didn't spend enough time in Michigan. And so what we've seen from the Harris campaign is she has been there. And Trump has served there as well. He closed out his campaign there. And so the Democrats have tried to learn from the mistakes of the past. Trump has been very focused on that area as well because he knows
Poor part. I predict he doesn't come in here all tonight.
Definitely doesn't.
And he'll stop posting in a couple hours. Unless she starts winning, then he'll jump in.
Yeah.
You'll know when she's winning because he'll come in here. If he comes in here, it's actually a bad sign.
Yeah, it's a bad
You
sign
think about it, because it means she's winning.
Fuck.
He ain't coming up in here while Trump's winning. Days before we can call Michigan.
Wait, what?
That's what MSNBC said. Trump's up in Wisconsin. He's down in Pennsylvania. Trump up in North Carolina. Trump up in Georgia.
She got her ass whooped in Tennessee. It was like 79 or something. 20.
I always wonder what it looks like from the other side, from the candidates when they're doing the same thing we are, essentially pulling up these numbers, trying to move through them, trying to figure out ways to be optimistic. Yeah, but you don't have the pressure of people looking at you.
You want to find cash by Fast Alert? We love it. The last election was decided in New York City. You could put those voters into Cowboy Stadium. Wow. That's really let me tell you how much consistently and publicly over the course of months, it's economy, inflation, cost of living that voters said over and over again is the most important issue to them. But look at this electorate. From our exit polls that we're seeing now, again, this could shift a little bit. These numbers could still change a bit as more waves and information come in. But look at this number one. 34% of voters say the state of democracy is the most important issue.
The state of democracy. What the fuck is that?
That's crazy.
The state of democracy.
Abortion is right there at 14%. Immigration is trailing at 11%. And why do I bring that up? That is key to former President Trump's goals. When you look at the vote breaks for this, which just means who people supporting when they say this is their top issue. On state democracy, voters vote for Kamala Harris. So she leads on that issue. More people who said that democracy was their most important thing. Kamala Harris than did Donald Trump. She is also leading on abortion as well. It's the fifth when you look at economy and immigration. More people who said that the economy or immigration were their most important issue back former President Trump. That is not largely because of the election fraud lies that Donald Trump talks about. There are Democrats who believe that the state of democracy is under threat because of former President Trump himself if he were to be back in office. So this is a tricky one. It's not like it cuts obviously one way or the other. So there's some unpacking to it.
What is the state of democracy? Exactly. It would probably be better framed as what do you think the state of the country is? Do you think that this is a high stakes election? Do you think it's a do or die? Is it existential? I think that's what people are responding to, and that's why we see that being the top issue.
Well, and it's so weird in what we saw in the closing arguments of both of these campaigns. You saw Vice President Kamala Harris try to argue that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. You saw Donald Trump make arguments that his political rivals were quote unquote enemies from within. And so it is a Rorschach test, and it also just speaks to why, as we watch these states come in, the battlegrounds seem to be very sharply divided.
Right track, wrong track always kind of leaves you with that question: is it, are we judging a president, or are we judging just the overall sense of life these days?
Absolutely, and the fact that we have this majority saying that the country's heading in the wrong direction.
No, it is interesting because we haven't talked much about that thing that happened this summer where Joe Biden and was expected for 18 months to be.
Man, I should have went to a bar to watch this shit.
How Kamala Harris is performing compared to how he may have to.
154 to 81.
Gets this there most closely. I don't think we have those graphics ready to pull up, but Joe Biden, if my memory serves, is something at like 41% favorable based in exit polls, which is a question that was asked. She is at something like, I want to say 48%, so she is at 49%. She's outpacing where both Joe Biden and Donald Trump were. But Savannah, I'm so glad you brought this up. We called Delaware like an hour ago, right? Joe Biden's home state, and it made me think about what a different race this would look like. How different tonight would look if Joe Biden were still on the ticket. Vice President Harris has done this thing where she's tried to both distance herself from President Biden. She told me in our interview just a couple of weeks ago, Joe Biden is not on the ticket. Like, I am the one who is running on the Democratic ticket, which she's right. She is on the top of the ticket. But at the same time, she has not distanced herself in a super clear way from a lot of his various policies. She has said that she feels some loyalty to him.
Well, the ads that have been run to great effect in a lot of these battleground states tie Kamala Harris directly to Joe Biden. The Trump campaign thinks that Biden is a clear drag on the Harris ticket.
It's been one of the biggest challenges of her entire campaign, including in her interview with Hallie, has been asked over and over again, how will you govern differently than President Joe Biden? She struggled to answer that in part, I'm told, because personally
She can't answer any fucking questions.
But it has been something that's been a challenge for her.
I think it was your interview. She cited history, the fact that typically vice presidents, don't.
Yeah, that's right. That was our colleague Peter Alexander, I think, if I'm remembering that one correctly, in a full aside with her several weeks ago. But she said, listen, typically vice presidents don't go after, their boss, if you will, their president. She talked about this issue of loyalty, but at the same time, she also says, my presidency will not be a continuation of the Biden.
The problem that she had was when asked specifically, I believe on an ABC program, what would you do differently? She said nothing comes to mind. And boy, the Trump campaign.
Her campaign's been, 108?
Well, right, but that's about, that question's coming when you have an unpopular incumbent. We want to go to NBC Sam Brock, who's in Asheville, North Carolina, where I understand the counting is wrapping up. What are you hearing?
Savannah, it's done. Look, I have it fresh off the presses right here from Buncombe County. The official results are in. First of all, they had a 73.69% turnout, which is almost their record high. It was 78 back in 2020. But considering everything that happened in Western North Carolina about a month ago, this is extraordinary. And the results are almost exactly the same as they were.
New York Times has got Trump winning Pennsylvania and Michigan.
In favor of Kamala Harris for this county, which is about 140,000 votes. It was 59-38 back in 2020. This was not, however, your grandmother's democracy process being sort of a fly on the wall to watch all this happen. Walk with me here for a second. So these are the tabulations that came out. These receipts, guys, were so long. They were strewn across this entire table. I watched as the board went through line item by line item to authenticate it for the unofficial results. There's basically a caravan of cars that comes in. They're all holding from each of the 80 precincts these thick orange cases that have flash drives in them. Bobby, who I'm told has been here with Buncombe County for generations, a 70-something-year-old woman, takes the flash drive out, comes in here and brings it into this room. In the room, it's unencrypted. And so they actually get the data up there and they upload it directly to the county site and then to the state site from this room. And then all the day of votes get tabulated over these machines. Fascinating to watch. It is actually now done. Let me send it back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. Got a projection to tell you about the state of Illinois. Kamala Harris, as expected, takes it. So that's a Midwest hold for Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Let's look at the breakdown here. Half the vote in, and it looks like it will be an easy victory as expected. And so we can fill out one more state on our road to 270 map. The state of Illinois going to Kamala Harris. Let's go to Tom Yamas. You're in North Carolina, where we just heard straight from the horse's mouth. Buncombe County, right there. Asheville. There's so much with Hurricane Helene, and Sam Brock had the cool results of his hot little hand.
But when you call him a horse, that's like, I'm not sure what word. Sam's a tall drink of water, but he's no horse. He's a handsome man. So listen, along the lines of from what he was reporting, and I just checked out those Hurricane Helene counties. We can show you the ones that were affected by the floods. Let me go, hold on 1 second. Here we go. So these were all the counties, the 13 counties that were affected by the floods, where people could vote in other parts of the state if they weren't able to vote in their home county. It's interesting. I was going through the numbers. It doesn't look like there's any kind of drop-off there. That's actually better news for the president, because there are more Trump voters out there in the western part of the state, with the exception of the blue dots like Asheville, places like that. Here's where a lot of the vote is still out. Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Look, Trump is on top right now statewide. Mecklenburg is the place for Democrats. I'm going to keep going back to Mecklenburg when we talk about North Carolina. This is Charlotte and then the surrounding suburbs. They need to drive up the vote here. It is a majority minority county. Hispanics and African Americans, they have to drive up the numbers here. When they lose races like Senate races, it's because the turnout is not where it needs to be in Charlotte. So not enough vote there. But the good news is there is vote in other places. Wake County, this is the capital, Raleigh, part of the Research Triangle. You can see Kamala Harris slightly overperforming President Biden with 76% of the vote. Whoops, that was a mistake. Let me go back to North Carolina here. Here we go. Okay. Right over here, Durham, this is where Duke University is. 85% of the vote is in. 81%, let's see how she did compared to Biden. Slightly overperforming there, and just over where UNC Chapel Hill is. Slightly overperforming there. Here's one thing, though, that Republicans have something to possibly celebrate. This is Nash County. This is Governor Roy Cooper's county. This is where I'm from. It's sandwiched between Raleigh, Wake County, and the North Carolina Black Belt.
Magic boy, what the fuck you want? Hello? What are you doing?
Nothing, man. You guys kicked me out or what?
Face Smokey kicked you out. He said you're a DGen.
What's that supposed to mean?
Go to the X. Go to X.
I don't have it no more.
Get a new one. Elon runs it now. They'll let you on there.
Oh my God. This is pretty good. I want to see how Trump's doing, though, in some of the rural counties where he has to drive up the vote. Robeson.
Magic Boy keeps calling me on the phone.
There. I want to go a little closer to Charlotte. Union County seems to be doing okay. Again, this is along the southern border, right above South Carolina. Seems to be holding its own. Anson, 92%. And this is actually a big flip. Let me see how this would look like in 2016. So this is interesting. Clinton won in 16. Biden won in 2020 with 92% of the vote in.
Stronger than ever, just as I said. Outperform in 2020. I told you, he's going to outperform the last election. She's going to underperform. So how does she win? Nobody could explain it. That's just literally what's happening. Biden sucks. You elected a corpse. You did this yourself in 2020. If he wins tonight, you did it to yourself.
Go down to defeat in Florida, had a 60% threshold. In New York, it passes easily. 71% of the vote is the margin there.
There you go. Now you can go to New York, get you an abortion. You can't go to Florida and get it. You can go to Maryland and get one. See how Trump is right about the states controlling it?
We do have 10 states that have these ballot measures, and obviously Democrats have hoped that would help their fortunes, and especially in these battleground states.
New York, obviously not a place where people think of abortion rights under threat, but the initiative there was broader than just about abortion. It had to do with anti-discrimination principles more generally, reproductive health care, part of that, but it was also about pregnancy and the like. And so that's why it was even on the ballot in a place like New York. When you think about a place like South Dakota, a completely different.
I'm not cocky at all. What are you talking about?
Arizona.
I've been saying the exact same thing for months. So no, I will not change up my anything. I'm going to continue to say what I've been saying for fucking months. He easily defeats her. She's a terrible candidate. I have given you all months to make a case for this woman. You could never do it. No, I will not. This is not cockiness. I have made the case for months. None of you could fucking reply with anything. If anything, y'all need to humble yourself because y'all been talking at your ass for months about this election. And look how it's playing out here. She is not performing like y'all said she would.
Ohio had managed to get it through in the past.
We have another president.
Y'all need to humble up and realize you don't know nothing.
On the screen here, and
Y'all been talking out your ass about this woman, saying the dumbest shit. I've been telling you for weeks. That doesn't make no sense.
17 electoral votes. There's the breakdown of 441,000 vote difference now. 64% of the vote.
She's struggling to win fucking Virginia.
And there's where it takes us the road to 270. Donald Trump.
I mean, it's embarrassing.
5 electoral votes. Harris with 81.
You don't install a candidate. You run a primary process. Trust me, after she loses this, everybody will be talking mad shit about her. The truth will come out. How they really feel about her.
It certainly is. For young women, it is their top issue. And that's where we're really seeing a huge gender divide also. For young women, 42% saying it is.
I'm not worried about getting destroyed by anybody. First of all, I'm not worried about being wrong. I'm at peace with whatever happens. I've been saying this for months. I'm sorry that you guys are in a fantasy. You live in your mind. You fight with your... There's no reason to, though. I'm not going to live in your fantasy. I'm going to be myself. I'm sorry if that bothers some of you. But I have no reason to change up. I've been saying, I've predicted everything happening. And I did it 4 years ago on a live stream. And I broke down how the next 4 years would go. And I broke down the 2024 election. And I told you, you're going to struggle to win it because you're running this fucking moron old man who clearly is too old to be doing this. And he's having a mental decline. How are you going to put this as a president? Well, they did it. They did it. And then they followed it up with the worst candidate in the history of elections. She is terrible. She can't answer a question. This is why she didn't go on Rogan. She wouldn't be able to handle it. She did an interview with some Muslim guy. Look this up. She did an interview with some Muslim dude over the summer. They never even released it because it was so bad. He was asking her serious questions and she was talking about food and acting like a fucking idiot. It was garbage. So they didn't even release the shit. She was on his show trying to convince this Muslim dude to eat bacon. She's a moron. The worst candidate. That's why she's going to lose to fucking Donald Trump. Because she's terrible. I mean, you guys are watching the same shit I'm watching. If anything, y'all being cocky. What are y'all talking about? What are you seeing tonight that shows her winning? She's getting decimated. What are you watching? Y'all need to get reality, man. There's a reason Parr's not in this Twitter space, and it ain't because she's winning. It's because she's getting her ass whooped, and he don't want to face it. He will come in here if it starts looking good for her. But as of right now, looks bad for her, so he's not going to come in here.
What the implications are when you have somebody that they're trying to assassinate.
I'm going to be here regardless. These dudes ain't got no spine. These dudes are soft. I'm not worried about them talking shit. I done told you. Their candidate sucks. If they elect this woman, she will destroy this country, and I'll be right. I got nothing to lose here. So there's nothing for me to worry about. He's got everything to worry about because he's ran his mouth. And he should have known better. Because the candidate's terrible. This is a terrible candidate.
So I think maybe
at least in 2020, the polls were showing Biden winning. There is nothing showing her winning. So there's no reason to be cocky about her winning. Y'all been cocky about this woman for months. Based on what, though? And now you have to face the reality of what happened.
Let me ask you a question, though. When you think about, and by the way, I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people are there as well.
I've done this for years. I ain't worried about fucking being wrong about an election. I could care less.
Right? The idea where you're playing another team, let's say all these different display games, tape. You know, who was the team that used to record? What was the team that they said in the NFL used to record? That was the Patriots. Patriots to record it.
Always the Patriots.
No, always it. What was it?
Houston Astros in baseball.
Houston Astros were doing that trash thing. That was a different story. But you gotta kind of find a way to beat them if the score is much bigger where you can't cheat. Do you think even with the idea of
Get back in that space. I don't know what happened to a Magic Boy called me, fucked it up. It should still be up though. I gotta piss. Roll a blunt.
People got very and scared after January 6th to say what I think most Americans.
Logan Paul's podcast does not have a bigger reach than Rogan. Man, shut up. He's saying the dumbest shit, I swear to God.
Transformed the way that we voted, and they did this in the name of COVID. And nothing made sense that night. We've never seen anything like that happen. And so I think for a lot of people, myself included, we've lost faith in our election process. Yesterday before, do you trust the election process? Where Trump loses, do you think that loss was legitimate? And I think the fact that we can no longer count votes at night, and they tell us that it takes days, doesn't make us feel good about the election process.
Vince, are you at the same place that Candace is at, or are you thinking it's going to be a landslide victory tonight? Where are you at?
Well, I know the Democratic Party is the evilest organization in the history of the world. I know they've been the party of slavery from 1800 to 1860, the party of the Confederacy from 1860 to 1865, the party of Jim Crow from 1865 to 1965. And now they're the party of Marxism, communism, transgenderism, abortion up to the 9th month, castrating little boys, calling little girls. They are evil institutions. They'll do anything to win. Anything. We have to know that and understand that. The whole civil rights movement was necessitated because the Democratic Party has been stealing elections for 100 years. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact. They were for 100 years, they were doing all types of literacy tests, intimidation, murder. This is their game. They're masters at it. And even right now, they do ballot harvesting, souls to the polls, volunteer pork chop sandwich, street money. Whatever it takes to win, they will win. They will try it. But it's not going to happen tonight. You know why? Because we're ready for it. They're going to try it, but it's not going to happen. We're watching. We're ready. We're prepared. They're going to try it, but the margins are going to be so loud. They're going to be so far. They're going to be so wide. They're going to have to sit down and they're going to have to give up on it.
Amen. By the way, this is very important. Do you mind if I tell them your brother, your family, are you okay by you?
Oh, no, we're lost.
Let me tell you guys, Vince's brother is a Fortune 50 CEO. His brother is the CEO of Lowe's for the last 6 years. You guys ever heard of Lowe's?
Right.
His brother is the
Hold on, Matt, you guys were supposed to do my cabinet last week and nobody showed up. I'm sorry. I'll deal with this later. So I'll give a call for you. Yes, sir.
When I was speaking, your brother and I were having a conversation, you and I were having a conversation. My curiosity was, what values and principles did your parents raise you to produce these types of kids? Take us back to when you were 6 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, 14 years old. I'm at the dinner table with your mom and dad. If I have a camera to see what the conversations were like, what did your mom and dad tell you to raise these two successful kids here? At least the two that I've met.
My friends, I was born on a cotton plantation in Newcastle, Tennessee. My father was a sharecropper. The only thing that kept me from getting at the bottom of everything was that I had a father. But my father aspired. He believed in America. He believed in America. And all of our lives, he told us is one thing. If you believe in God, if you work hard, if you bring good people to you and push bad people away, it is nothing you cannot attain in this country. My family has lived the American dream. We've lived it. But one thing he taught us that was very, very interesting. He said, if Jesus Christ has ordained something for you, no man can stop it. No racist can stop it. No black man, no white man. He's ordained it. So he said, don't march, don't complain, don't fight, don't blame other people for what's going on American people and their allies every day. They want to make us a nation of cowards, begging and crawling and marching.
Turn this
Instead of saying, no, I'm going to earn what I get. I'm not going to ask the government for my freedom. I'm going to find them trying to take it from me. I'm not going to walk around asking them to give me something. I respect the thief more than I respect the beggar. We're Americans. We earn it. And my father taught me to go out every day and earn it.
Man, I said I respect a thief more than a beggar.
Believe in God.
What?
Good people to you. Press bad people away. And he said this to me. He said, they talk about white supremacy.
Boom. Come on, Park. We're running. Just face it. Like, it ain't that big of a deal if you lose. Just face it like a man. Who cares?
First and foremost, I don't think black men were convinced by Kamala whatsoever. It has nothing to do with her being a woman, but she's been in office for 4 years talking about how she's going to fix what's been going on for the last 4 years doesn't make any sense. And for people trying to use the excuse of, oh, well, you know, she's just a VP, tell that to Dick Cheney. You know what I mean? So I think
T. West, your thoughts?
The borders are, and that has been something that has been a threat to black jobs. And I really do think it just came down to how are you living right now? They are looking at gas prices, they're looking at grocery prices, and they're realizing Trump wasn't that bad.
Right now.
In 2016,
I'm looking at the election map.
nobody actually knew how Trump was going to be.
Well, it's close in some. Well, it's close in Pennsylvania, but it's like 40% of the votes in so far.
Can y'all hear T. West? I got the laptop coming tomorrow. They would not give it to me today. They were like, we gotta deliver it. I paid for it, everything. You gotta deliver it because they gotta make sure it's going to the right place. Like, they gotta know where they're taking it. I don't know. They're gonna steal it or whatever. They're bringing it at 11:30 in the morning.
I guess they're doing like the whole like give us your money for like collateral or some shit or whatever.
So yeah, we'll go have it for tomorrow though. It's 20 something a week. 23, 24. 27 actually, I think. So surely we'll make 27 a week off the stream though. Been doing that easily. God, this grinder sucks.
Your thoughts on people voting for RFK?
It's so fucking dumb.
Last I checked, he had like over I think he was closing in on like 90K votes or something like that. Fucking stupid.
That ain't make sense. Are you go on YouTube? Look what I got. You see my Christmas shit?
I'll come on YouTube. Nah, hell nah.
You see it? Look.
We need a kitchen fire.
Look at that. Huh? I went to the Dollar Tree today. Look. 2-month celebration. 2 months. I don't even celebrate Thanksgiving. Hey, look.
Oh my God.
Nah, I'm gonna save that one. I'm gonna save that one for later. I'm gonna save the other one for later. My girl got me some little white thing I got. Then I got that nutcracker from years ago. I had a snow globe. What the fuck happened to that? Uh-oh, T West. Look, it's right here. Ah! Where do I put this at?
Where's the Donald Duck at?
Yes. That's just 40, not yet reported. 42%. They just threw anybody off. Hang on one second. Listen, you have an update for us. It's very, very, very quick. Very, very quick. Yes. No, we can't hear you, buddy. Hang on. Guys, if Tom uses the mic, Tom talks dirty to his wife very softly. We have to raise the audio with Tom. Tom's method of talking dirty is soft. We know it by now.
I don't know where I'm gonna put a Christmas tree in here. I'm gonna get a small one, I guess. Actually, I think I'm gonna put it right there.
As you can see, it's only 42% reported. You can see as the vote comes in Pennsylvania, he is now half a point up, and in Georgia.
Trump leads in Virginia by 50,000 votes. That's crazy.
I expected Trump to win North Carolina and Georgia, so I'm not shocked about that. I don't even know why everybody pretended that was like a call for it.
Yeah, Trump was not losing North Carolina. I live here, and I wasn't going to believe that for a second.
So we can compare ourselves to everybody else. How many do we have? 191,000 people. Already a few million people have watched tonight's live broadcast. But why don't you go back, Rob, and show everybody else on the homepage, comparing us to everybody else. Go all the way to the top. Zoom in a little bit so we can see it. If you can zoom in. So let's see. No, I can't see the one on the left. NBC got it there at the top. What else do you see if you go a little bit lower for live? Go a little bit lower, Rob. Who else do we see? Where's ABC on that side? Got it. Who else you got to go a little bit lower? Who else do you see? Election night. AP, 200,000. Okay. By the way, we're ahead of, there's this organization called Daily Wire. Nobody here used to be part of that organization. Daily Wire's got about 100,000 people on. Great job to Daily Wire. Megyn Kelly killing it with 150,000 people watching. We got ABC News, 67,000 people watching ABC News. What else we got here? NBC, 160,000. Good for them. Tucker's at 132. Who else we got? A bunch of other guys. Fox News, 62,000. Beauty Podcast tonight, 190,000 because of you. And the guests that are here with us. By the way, if you want things to change, I'm telling you, we're right now trending at number 15 on Twitter. Go on Twitter and just tweet out podcast. Post it on Twitter. Everybody is watching to see what the hell is going on tonight. With that being said, Candace Owens, please continue. You were saying earlier.
Well, I was going to say that the celebrity endorsements, I think, are now hurting. I have to say, this was the first
You said they're not working. They're not working.
They're not working. They're hurting now, and you saw this because towards the end they just ran out every celebrity got the call in the last 4 days. But it was really interesting to just be in the comment section of LeBron James. You know, and when he is basically supposed to be the king, and Black men are supposed to just listen to whatever he says. I mean, I am telling you, the comments under his post were 80% negative. I think
Oh!
feels very patronizing. You know, that you're obviously ruling out these people like LeBron James, even Barack Obama. Barack Obama, I genuinely think him coming out and rolling up his sleeves and talking to the brothers wasn't a good thing. I think the brothers got a little upset by that. It's like, first off, Barry, where have you been? Secondly, when have you ever been a brother? When have you ever been in any sort of
The brothers. Obama was pissed, boy. He gonna be real mad now. They gonna be lecturing black people. They might. Shit. Who knows what they might do? Lock the door, T West. That's why T West voted for Jill Stein, because he knows they're gonna look up the records and shit and go, oh, okay. Yeah, you got your name right here, voted for Trump. We see you. We see your ass.
Get hard here.
He's scared. I can't force him to come in here. Can't force him to come in here. You'll know if Kamala's winning because he'll pop in here. It's actually a bad sign if he comes in here. That's the only way he's coming in here. He ain't got the balls coming in here right now. What's the latest?
Cenk Uygur having a meltdown already.
What?
Cenk Uygur already having a meltdown.
Oh, they've been melting down for weeks.
Yeah, you're right.
I've been talking about that. They've been having a fit for weeks. They ain't won yet.
You got Trump leading Pennsylvania now.
How many votes?
Let's see. Oh, just updated. Like 22,000. Now just jump to 40K. 40K lead so far.
I went and voted today. Did you see?
Yeah, same.
They asked me for my ID and everything in Kentucky. I voted Republican down ballot. I voted yes on school choice and yes on so they had some type of medical marijuana thing on there. I don't know what it was. To build dispensaries and shit. I'm like, yeah, fuck it.
That's what they did here in Illinois. Got dispensaries and shit. But they're fucking expensive though. Like the shit that they charge for. All the tax and shit that they add on it.
Dude, Dollar Tree got everything. Fucking Dollar Tree. This plate I got for $1.25. This is what Biden took. Look at Biden. This is Biden right here. $1.25. Bullshit. Used to be $1. Got a lot of shit at the Dollar Tree. Oh, look what I finally got a pizza cutter at the Dollar Tree. Oh, yeah. Damn nice. Can't beat the Dollar Tree. If Kamala wins, there won't be Dollar Trees anymore. They'll shut that shit down real fast. I can't afford that.
Probably fucking Tim Dillon.
What's he doing?
No, I was saying like the guy that's talking.
That's Dave Smith. They got Candace Owens up there and shit on PBD podcast.
Where's my fucking TV remote? Man, I need to go get me something to drink.
I'll come back and get you if I want.
Well, we might get blamed for Georgia, y'all.
Hell yeah.
It's your fault, T-West.
Get your fucking ass in line.
You don't even live in Georgia, but it's your fault. Hey, you see, I had to come up with an alibi. I had to go with jail.
Right.
I get it now. You're smart.
Bro, I actually go to college in Georgia.
So you gotta hide out there now.
Hell yeah. Fucking Obama's gonna pay me a visit. Like, hey, bro, you didn't know.
Mama Michelle's gonna see you soon.
Yeah, her ass she ain't gonna be able to fit in the fucking doorway. Her ass so tall.
They're gonna have you on an apology tour for the next 4 years.
Pedro, you voted for Trump. We need you to repent for your sins.
Pedro, we need you to vote for Kamala. And if you don't, nothing's gonna happen. I remember seeing his last speech. He looked so fucking pissed.
Yeah. Now, fellas, we're not turning out at the polls like we're supposed to, and
why do black men hate black women? Y'all are misogynists.
Fucking hell. I can't wait.
It's crazy. They were already putting the blame on black men.
Dude, I cannot wait to see these women on here.
How's the election going?
It's going great. Just how we fucking predicted it would go.
Just how we predicted, because Kamala fucking sucks.
But you know who's nowhere to be found?
Barr. Fucking coward.
Faggot was talking all that shit.
Good to it.
How it fucking hurt.
Good to fucking it. Go.
Yeah, it's real quiet tonight. It's real quiet. Now they was talking all that fucking shit, talking about we was going to say some Madam President. Shove that shit right up your fucking ass, bitch.
I can't wait to call, what the fuck what gay shit did he say?
I can't wait to call her Madam President. He said that shit. He had his thumb up his ass. Looking weird.
Damn, Magic Boy. Magic Boy. Ain't she supposed to be in jail?
Who's Magic Boy? I ain't Magic Boy. Pedro.
No, Magic Boy's here.
The hell? Free. I thought that nigga was locked up.
Magic Boy's free. He's back on the loose.
I'm locked up. You won't let me out. You won't let me out. I'm locked up.
I'm locked up.
So, what's the signs of Trump winning? Sorry, I'm in the UK, so I'm being a bit stupid there. But what's the signs of Trump winning so far?
Trump has won North Carolina and Georgia,
and he's about to win Pennsylvania.
He's already won North Carolina and Georgia.
Yes.
Fuck. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those were two places that those were like 50-50 at one point.
How decisively has he won those states, though?
I'm looking at them right now. Georgia right now is at 82% votes in, and he's up by like 200K. North Carolina, he's 30% votes in. He's almost up.
Goddamn, give me some fucking water. Thirsty as hell.
How much is he up by right now? North Carolina is almost 300K. Damn. The great state of North Carolina. I'm a proud Carolinian today.
Hell yeah. I got a family in South Carolina, and all of them voted Kamala.
So I suppose then that
nothing.
So I guess those early votes actually didn't cannibalise the Republican vote then? I'm assuming so.
That's what it's looking like so far. But we gotta still kind of wait and see some places.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that the early voting was actually a lot of Democrats switching to Republicans. That's my theory. Although it could be different.
I feel like you could say that.
Oh, fuck. I didn't mean. What did I hit? Okay, my bad. Unmute yourself.
Damn, I've been silenced.
Okay, as you were saying.
I think you can say that for both parties, though. Like, you know, Dems vote for Trump and Republicans vote for Kamala. But I don't know.
Oh, goddamn dumbass dog. Miracle. Get in here.
Try to escape.
My fucking front door keeps like, oh, if I don't lock it, it like opens. The wind hits it and opens it.
So good signs for Trump overall.
Oh my God, where'd that go?
I mean,
Miracle, sit somewhere.
What are you talking about? You're not allowed to say that. What do you mean? And he wouldn't back down. He was like, hey, Obama created now.
Damn you. Go lay down. Get in my face.
Messi, I'm curious, what's it like in the UK right now for like protests and shit?
What protest? Oh, you mean the riots?
Yeah, the Muslim shit.
Oh, mate, that fucking ended months ago. Jesus Christ. It's fine. Literally fine. No, I didn't have to worry about it. No, obviously, I live in
They wanted to overthrow the secular dictator, Bashar al-Assad, that they were going to fund and arm Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria. Now that, under the legal code, is known as treason, with a capital T. Arming the enemy in the time of war. And if you haven't checked, the punishment for that is death. And so when Donald Trump is running and about to be president, and he's on national television saying these guys committed treason, maybe not among Donald Trump, you know, he's the way Donald Trump does. And he only has like 5 words, and one of them is tremendous, and the other one is loser. And so he just called, but excuse me, that they are actually, I think, terrified that he might get, and he's also running on lock her up.
No, I haven't. I think this is the way the news works. It massively exaggerates a lot of these things. Look, dude, I've said a lot of edgy shit in my time, like fucking years ago, etc. I'm still not arrested, so I think the UK is pretty good.
Okay. Come to America.
Yeah, you should come to America just to be safe.
If Trump wins. If
Trump wins, yeah, no, that's the thing, no. Of course, after all the... This is the thing.
Go on.
Countries, then you kind of make that position of country based on what you've seen of articles. Sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm not happy with the.
The Islamic